We're going to get right back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, but first, please take a moment to hit the like button.
Push the button.
If it's your first time here, hit the subscribe button.
Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
If you're already subscribed, make sure you hit the little bell icon. That way you get a notification every time we post a new video.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button.
You heard what she said.
I absolutely love to read books, but honestly, sometimes I just don't feel like it. That's why I'm so grateful that I have a membership with Audible. Now I can have someone read books to me on demand whenever I want. Now I can listen to audiobooks while I'm exercising, cleaning the house, or visiting the royal throne. Sometimes I even like to listen to audiobooks as I fall asleep. It's actually quite relaxing. My Audible membership gives me thousands of books to choose from, which is why I'm recommending it to you. And if you use the link in the description, you can get 2 free audiobooks. That's 2 books of your choice, absolutely free, just for signing up via the link in the description. And you can even give Audible as a gift for someone you care about. Join Audible today. Hey, what's up? This is your boy Quali Kush. If you like the videos on this channel, then why not visit our website, qualikush.com. We post every day with topics ranging from religion to science, critical thinking, black-owned businesses, and much, much more. On the website, you'll also find links to all of the other social media related to Quali Kush. I personally post a book recommendation daily to the blog, and we are 420 friendly. So come on down, visit us, leave a comment, and let us know what you think. QualiKush.com.
When you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition is the way.
Welcome to the new Atheist Experience. We are live with Quali Kush and Kwame Remesu. This is the show that strives to educate, inform, and grow our community by promoting reading, critical thinking, and secular humanism as a replacement for the heavily biblical worldview that has halted the growth of our people for over 2,000 years. It is the lack of scientific literacy, logic, reasoning, and critical thinking in our community that produces a public that is more susceptible to trickery, scams, and cons. Not only does religion make one less likely to value reality, but it also produces many of the ills of our society: racism, prejudice, and various superstitious beliefs. On this show, we encourage people to question their beliefs and their origins and how religious thought patterns affect our behavior. You can listen to the show as a podcast on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. You can also watch us live on YouTube every Sunday. We also have other shows on our channel, so if you like this show, you might want to check those out as well. We have a science podcast called Shout Out Electron and an investigative podcast called New Thugs. Those links are in the description below. If you love this content, why not consider making a contribution to help us grow our platform and reach more people? Your contribution will help us pay for various monthly subscriptions and equipment costs needed to produce this content. You can make a one-time, monthly, or annual contribution directly at our website, qualikush.com. Every dollar helps us out, so don't hesitate to show your support. If you would love to contribute but you cannot contribute financially, you can still help out the show by clicking the like button, sharing this content on your social media, or by visiting the website qualikush.com. Your engagement helps us rank better and thus reach more people. Check the description below for all of these links. Now, for all my Bible readers out there, for all my Quran readers out there, you've been reading the same book for generations and you still have not found liberation for our people. How much better would our community be if instead of reading the same book every Sunday over and over again, we read a different book every Sunday? Imagine that. If the preacher read a different book to the congregation every Sunday instead of the same book over and over again, how much smarter would the congregation be? Well, church, at qualikush.com, we read a different book to you every single day. For free. You don't have to read the books yourself anymore. I read them to you, and all you have to do is listen. You no longer have an excuse not to read books. Because I know a lot of y'all like to say that you don't have time or you can't sit still. Well, now you can listen to books anytime, anywhere. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on these free audiobooks. And if you don't prefer the books that I choose to read, you can get 2 free audiobooks of your choice when you sign up for a free trial with Audible. That link is also in the description, or you can go to qualikush.com and click the audiobooks tab. So make sure you share this content on your social media and help us grow our platform and help wake these people up. And without further ado, we're going to begin the show. You are listening to the new Atheist Experience.
Yeah, you pronounce my name. Any questions? I bring many blessings.
I don't care what he smokes. I don't care how much he smokes. He ain't never gonna be the most high, okay? So
Give to everyone who asks you for something. Don't turn anyone away who wants to borrow something from you. Be sure to give to them without any hesitation. If you would be perfect, go. Sell what you possess and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me.
The Bible is full of verses like this, and based on the text alone, one would think that a rich Christian should be the most generous giver ever. But as it turns out, there's another group filling that number one spot. Who? You guessed it, the atheists. In this video, we'll be comparing the spending habits of rich Christians to that of rich atheists. The purpose of this comparison is to illustrate the difference in morality, values, and overall sensibility of the millions of dollars being spent by these wealthy individuals. So who helps society more, atheists or Christians? Let's find out, shall we? It's often slightly difficult to research Christians because they largely disagree with one another. While conducting research for this video, I found numerous contradictions in the Christian ideology as well as some bold-faced lies. For example, on ChristianityToday.com's list of 5 Christian billionaires you should know, Bill Gates is the cover and is number 3 on the list. The only problem, Bill Gates is not a Christian, and anyone with a TV or internet access can figure this out. Their website goes on to say that Gates mentioned that it makes sense to believe in God. But when I looked up the interview, it turns out that what Gates actually said was, quote, I agree with people like Richard Dawkins that mankind felt the need for creation myths. Before we really began to understand disease, weather, and things like that, we sought false explanations for them. Now science has filled in some of the realm, not all. Religion used to fill. But the mystery and the beauty of the world is overwhelmingly amazing, and there's no scientific explanation of how it came about. To say it was generated by random numbers, that does seem, sort of an uncharitable view. I think it makes sense to believe in God, but exactly what decision in your life you make differently because of it, I don't know. End quote. So, why is ChristianityToday.com lying about Bill Gates being Christian? I'll let you figure that one out. So let's get this comparison started, shall we? Rich Christians versus rich atheists. First up for the Christians, Betsy DeVos, a juggernaut funder of religious and Republican causes in Michigan and the U.S. Secretary of Education. Up next for the Christians, Foster Freeze, a conservative mega donor in Wyoming and an early backer of Donald Trump. Number 3 for the Christians, the Green family, Hobby Lobby owners and one of the richest families in America, who helped secure Supreme Court's consequential 2014 decision on religious freedom and birth control. They recently opened an elaborate museum dedicated to the Bible on the edge of the National Mall. Let's compare those to the current most charitable individuals in the United States. Number 1, Warren Buffett, atheist, donated $40.785 billion to health, education, and humanitarian causes. Number 2, Bill and Melinda Gates, atheist, donated $27.6 billion to global health and development and education. Number 3, George Soros, atheist, who donated $6.9 billion to charity. And just a side note, 100 years ago, one of the USA's leading philanthropists was Andrew Carnegie, who was also an atheist. However, in 2005, Time magazine crowned Howard and Roberta Emerson the most powerful evangelical financiers in America. As an heir to the assets of Home Savings and Loan, a mortgage and insurance empire, Howard Emerson became an influential philanthropist, backing projects in Bible translation, art, and perhaps most notably, politics. The Emersons poured millions of dollars into ballot initiatives and Republican campaigns in California. In 2008, they gave more than $1 million to support Proposition 8, which successfully banned same-sex marriage in the state. The couple also backed the Discovery Institute, which is a pseudo think tank that promotes intelligent design, and the Claremont Institute, which promotes limited government. Regarding group efforts, Kiva.org, the microfinancing organization that has distributed over $261 million to people in 61 nations, has what they call lending teams that post their generous efforts online. The leading team for November 22nd, 2011 is atheists, agnostics, skeptics, free thinkers, secular humanists, and the non-religious. These 18,000 blasphemers have lent over $5,623,750 in over 187,000 loans. Their simple motto is, we loan because we care about the suffering of human beings. Trailing behind in the number 2 slot are the Kiva Christians, who have loaned over $3 million. Their supernatural rallying cry is, we loan because pure and undefiled religion before God the Father is this, to care for orphans and widows in their misfortune and to keep oneself unstained by the world. On philanthropyroundtable.com, we see that Bill Gates has made major contributions in Africa. However, Bill Gates is not a Christian, and the Gates Foundation is not a Christian organization. Thus, we have more dishonesty from the Christian side, and this is a penalty, flag on the play. Those points automatically go to the atheists. Now, there are a lot of Christians out there who often work with incarcerated individuals, poor and homeless people, assisting them with food and shelter, but this usually is accompanied by an agree to listen to their sermon or take a Bible study class or otherwise adopt the Christian faith. Atheist volunteers, on the other hand, don't ask for anything from the needy, they simply give. Furthermore, it seems Christian giving is declining. In 2018, Giving USA and Indiana University's Lilly Family School of Philanthropy found a sharp decrease in religious giving over the past 4 decades, declining from well over half of all giving in the late 70s through the early 90s to roughly a third as recently as 2017. But doesn't Mark chapter 10 verse 21 say, go, sell everything that you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven? I have yet to see a rich Christian actually do this. And even with commands like this in the Bible, these so-called Christians fall second in the realm of philanthropy, and atheists are leading the way in the charity race. Shouldn't it be the other way around? It seems Christians who are generous givers only give to Christian-based organizations. They seem to want to spread the word of their religion rather than help with actual issues faced in life. Atheists, on the other hand, don't believe in God, so when they give to organizations that are actually helping people rather than preach to them. I hope you learned something in this video, and if you want more, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video. And if you want more, you can always go to our website, qualitykush.com, where we provide daily book recommendations and promote free thinking in the Black community. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, you pronounce my name. Any questions? I bring many blessings.
I don't care what he smokes. I don't care how much he smokes. He ain't never going to be the Most High, okay? So
man is, why we're here on this earth. Where are we going from here? The Bible is about 90% prophecy and 10% history. The rest, of course, is education and certain areas of the human life. The Bible, just like a owner's manual in a car, is our human owner's manual. It tells us how to live. It tells us how to repair our families. It teaches us how to control our anger. It teaches us about sex. It teaches us how to rear our children. All of these things are involved or encased in the message that Christ brought. But this Simon Magus and Satan saw fit to supplant or counterfeit this religion. And for about 100 years during that time in those crusades, brother, there is no church history. There is no real history. Satan did a very good job of blotting out this church history. They called it the Dark Ages. So, and I didn't mean to get carried away about that, but here just about a year ago, I was put out of a church down here ran by a man named Ricky Rush. Now, the only thing I did was I asked him a simple question. And the question is the same thing that I asked all those other preachers, okay? Is the Christian life still based on the 10 Commandments? And he said, no, we're not under the law. I began to tell other members that we are being taught by a false prophet. Anyone who denounces the 10 Commandments, which are relative today, just like they were almost 3,000 years ago, and they tell another parishioner or a member that you're not under the law, that's lawlessness. That is a false teaching. That is not true. Now, about 2 or 3 days later, after I went to a Bible study, I was asked to leave, and I was asked not to come back. So that's kind of how my journey's been, man. I only want the truth, brother. But if I can share something with somebody and maybe it would make them take a different look or a different approach at whatever research they've been doing, I'm willing to share that. If we disagree, we just agree to disagree. I just want to be able to share what I know with you, and I would want to learn how you got to where you are.
And likewise.
I don't want to argue. I don't want to create some type of wedge between you and I because, brother, we're both human beings. We're both brothers.
Right.
But when you said the word atheist and you said, man, I ran from Christianity, that kind of hurt me because I'm like, you know, there are other people, man, that I've ran into, and I mean hundreds and hundreds of different people. They're saying the same thing, you know? So that's kind of how I got to where I am. And you're a young man, and it's interesting that you articulate well. You seem very highly intelligent, and I don't meet very many of those that much these days. So it's just interesting to have a very healthy and meaningful conversation.
I agree.
So if I can send you some material, just one piece of material, I'd like for you to read it. I'd like for you to send me through mail, and I'm willing to pay for postage, whatever I have to do, some research that debunks or showed you how the Bible is false.
All right. We might not even have to go that far because I think the issue is just from listening to you talk. It sounds like you value the Ten Commandments and you obviously believe in God. And I would say you are, and you haven't disclosed any of this or whether you're a fundamentalist or not, but you sound sort of fundamentalist. So a quick question before I ask you a couple more. Would you consider yourself a fundamentalist Christian? And what I mean by that is, do you believe, for example, the Earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old, or do you believe in the scientific theory that it's billions of years old?
I believe that there is a combination or a two-pronged answer there. I believe that the Earth is far more older than tens of billions of years old. But I do believe that there is a supreme deity that created the Earth and the universe. Okay. I am not pushing any science out of the way.
Gotcha.
What I am saying is I can't believe that it is science alone that aided in the creation of the Earth and the universe. It's too vast.
All right, but here's a thought, because while we're on that subject, because here's the thing, all right, and like you're older than me, so I would say just by listening to you speak and the fact that you're older than me, that in your life experience that you probably are wiser than me. But when people in America have been subjected to indoctrination, and not just in a religious sense, but education as well. So the school system's corrupt, the government's corrupt, and the church is corrupt. As you yourself said, that even the church that you were going to, they weren't preaching the real word of Jesus, and they admitted it. So because of this, the people's thinking, even our elders, is sometimes flawed. And the flaw is, you know, when they say when you assume, you make an ass of yourself.
You make an ass out of you and me, yes sir.
Right. So,
yes, sir.
So the masses have this assumption that's been taught to them that there is a God, and you start from that point. And when you start from that point, the world looks to be a certain way.
Okay.
When really you should be starting from, is there a God? Because before you can say the word of God and which is the right word and who's preaching the right word, first you have to prove that there is a word of a God. And I don't think anybody, any religion has met that burden of proof. If this were a court proceeding, if we were in court, God would be not guilty of existing.
Okay.
Matter of fact, he skipped trial. He's not even present.
Right.
There is no witness to interrogate here. All we have is people. All right. So when you believe in, quote, the word of God or the word of Jesus, let's say the Ten Commandments, for example. You value the Ten Commandments, and I'm assuming that you value the Ten Commandments. No fun on what I just said about assumptions, but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm assuming that you do that because you believe that the Ten Commandments were God given or God inspired,
Yes.
and I would disagree with that. And maybe you will change your mind if I tell you why I disagree with that. Because first of all, if there is a God that is going about to planets like Earth and giving out rules, I would expect those rules to be godly. I wouldn't expect those rules to sound like something that came from you or me. I would expect them to be superior. And the Ten Commandments don't seem that way. Cause what's the first commandment? Remind me, because I might get it wrong.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this.
Huh?
Hold on 1 second. All right. Now, the very first commandment is thou shalt have no other God or gods before me.
Okay, stop right there. Now, if there is only one God, right, which most Christians believe that there is only one God, shouldn't the first commandment be, I'm the only God, not don't have any other gods before me, or don't have any false gods before me, or something to that effect? But it doesn't say that. It says thou shalt have no other gods before me. And when I read that, it sounds like there's a bunch of gods, and this God is telling me I should follow him instead of following these others. And that's the very first commandment. And being that it's the first, you would think that it's the most important, but that doesn't really seem that important for a rule for life. And furthermore, if this God is the creator of everything in the universe, why should he care if I put another God before him? It doesn't matter if I'm worshiping my pinky toe. If you're God, what do you care about little old me worshiping my pinky toe? And why is that more important than all of the other commandments? But if you look at it from a sense of this written by man, it makes sense that they would write that because they want you to follow their religion rather than any other religion. So a man would write a commandment like that. All right. And then a couple of more commandments. I'm not sure of the exact order, but I know there's some in there that say, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife, thou shalt not steal. And you could get rid of about 4 or 5 of those commandments and just say, thou shalt be honest. So we don't really need 10 commandments. And like, if I can figure that out, wouldn't the creator of the universe be smart enough to figure that out and give us a more sensible rule book? And furthermore, each of these 10 commandments can be found in the 44 negative confessions of Ma'at, which predates Moses by over 4,000 years. So even if this was the word of God, it's not the complete word of God, and it seems like it was plagiarized from the 44 negative confessions of Ma'at.
Okay. That's a very good analogy, and that is a very good question that you have. Do you, let me ask you this, the commandment that we talked about first about no other gods before me, do you think it's possible that man can get it into his mind to make a material, physical item a god? Do you think that's possible?
Not only
think
do
about what I said.
not only do I think that's possible, I'll go a step further and say I think it's possible that man would make a non-existent, immaterial nothing a god, and that's exactly what they've done. But for the sake of conversation, yes, I would say yes is the answer to your question.
Okay, I want you to walk with me for a minute. You live in Atlanta, right?
Correct.
And I'm almost certain that in some of the neighborhoods you pass by or where you are, you have a car wash, right?
Yes, sir.
And at the car wash, there's always going to be that one or two guys who have the most phenomenal car that you could, imagine a young black man or a young man. And I'm just going to use the Corvette.
That's actually one of my favorite cars, so it's cool with me.
Okay, it's a Corvette.
Okay.
Now, we all like to keep a vehicle like that in top running condition as well as keep it clean, right?
Right.
But what that commandment is basically talking about is when you take these immaterial or these material things and put it before the Creator God, whether it be mentally, psychologically, and I'm going to break that down a little bit more. Man, it's okay to keep a car clean, but when you wipe on it more than you pay attention to your Creator, it becomes God. It becomes something that you subliminally worship. We can go a step further with us black men. What about that beautiful woman with the nice shape and the nice top and the nice backside? When we take our life and wrap it around this woman, it becomes something that we worship. It becomes a god. It becomes what we wake up every day and make every waking hour about this individual or this physically or this material thing. Man loves to have nice things. A nice watch, a nice bracelet, a nice pair of J's, a nice starch iron, pair of clothes, and there's nothing wrong with looking nice. There's nothing wrong with getting these things. It's when you take them and you soak all of your mental facilities in it and you have to have it on a daily or an hourly basis to satisfy your craving for material things. This is the meaning of the first commandment. And a God could be your house. It could be your job. It could be your status. We tend to stumble over the smaller things in a verse instead of focusing on the who, what, when, where, and how. I'm not saying that's what you've done. I'm just saying in general. You should have no other gods before me. Simply means that I am the Creator. I want to spend some quality time with you sometimes. I want you to sit down and think about me. I want you to think about the sacrifices that I've made sending my son here, or the sacrifice I made in creating this beautiful earth and these vehicles and these homes that you live in. Don't put them before me. And I'm guilty of it, little brother. I lived in a $250,000 house. I drove a GMC truck that was loaded with all the satellite stuff lining up and all that stuff. And I have to admit, the money I was making per hour at this job, it was astronomical. And I thought that, and I'm going to be honest with you, man, that I was like the main man on this earth. I carried a gun. I did all these things. I made these material things my God. And that's what that commandment is basically admonishing us to do. Why he had to have a man to write it? Because what he wanted to do with that spirit power is he wanted to instill in man that there is a way while you're here on this earth that you and I can directly communicate, and it's through that spirit power. You don't have to have material or physical things to make you happy. We have each other to build a relationship together, and I will bless you with all the things that you want. I may not give you everything you need, but I will give you the desires or the wants of your heart.
I hear you.
You had a very good point, though. You had a very, very good point, man.
And that you know, and that sounds beautiful, you know, and that's actually one of my grievances with religion is because they have these this doctrine and this rhetoric that sounds so good and it makes you feel good that you almost just believe it just because you want to. But the problem, the disagreement that I have with what you just said is I contended that the Ten Commandments were not God inspired and written by man, and you could tell because a God wouldn't command you to not have any other gods. If he was the only one, he would be smart enough not to say that. And your rebuttal was that that's not what was meant. What he really means is not to worship anything that's material or anything more than you would worship a God or to spend more time on something more than God. But the problem with that is because the second commandment says not to make any graven images, which is pretty much what you just gave as the explanation for the first commandment. So I contend once again that the first commandment is not referring to material objects, it's referring to other actual gods, because at the time that it was written, there were polytheistic religions that were more popular than, matter of fact, Christianity was the first, or Catholicism was the first, or Judaism, I'm sorry, was the monotheistic religion, and which all these other religions sprung out of. Catholicism and Christianity sprung out of Judaism, but the first religion with only one God was Judaism. So it was written in a time where people believed in multiple gods. So when they say thou shalt have no other gods but me, a person talking to another person, because a true God would have said something more to the effect of there are no other gods but me. You feel what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Now, do you realize or do you know the history of the children of Israel in Egypt? Do you know anything about the history?
Sure, I know a lot about it actually. What's your next question?
Well, are you aware that in Egypt, when Pharaoh took the children of Israel captive and they stayed in Egypt, you know, several hundred years, that there was a lot of idolatrous worship. There were golden calves, animal worship, sex worship. You know, there were all of these different types of pagan things that the children of Israel were exposed to.
No, I don't know that to be a fact. I know that to be a story that people like to tell. But historically, there is no evidence that any pharaohs held any Hebrews captive.
Okay. And now, and you're saying this because you said you're not aware of it. You have read some history.
I'm saying everything that I have read nothing that said historically. I read it in religious texts, or what I would call myths, but I have not read it in any historical text that Egyptian pharaoh held a Hebrew or Israelite enslaved for any amount of time ever.
And here's an area where, again, I think we can share some things. And I just want you to read it. If you reject it, I don't have a problem with that. But I think once you read it, it will just have you to take a look at the other side of what you have read. And it is fact. And it's not just in the Bible. It's something that has been recorded through years of archaeological studies, scientific studies, where it has been proven that while the children of Israel spent time in Egypt under the rule of Pharaoh, there were a lot of idolatry things going on.
Which Pharaoh?
And again, say it again.
Which Pharaoh?
Well, there have been several pharaohs, but we want to go back to the very first Pharaoh in Genesis. Okay? Pharaoh was just a name for ruler or king. Okay? And there is no specific name like Pharaoh Michael, Pharaoh Jack, or anything like that. The Bible just specifically says Pharaoh, King Pharaoh in the time.
Yeah, the pharaoh that was in rule during that time period, worship Ma'at Ra, September Ra, Amen. And he never held any Israelite slaves.
Okay. I would really, really like to share with you something that I think would let you take a different look. I'm not saying that's not this gentleman's name. I'm not saying that in any shape, form, or fashion. But these commandments were adopted first and foremost for the children of Israel who were coming out of slavery and who had been exposed to these different idolatrous and pagan things. And not only were they for them, but as time has went on, they have been for all of mankind. But the wording of these two commandments, the graven images, falls under the fact that they had calf worship, sex worship. They worshiped these different sun gods, moon gods. It was, brother, that's why you hear some of these theologians say everything that's pagan that we know now came out of Egypt. It's just been modernized.
But isn't Christianity pagan?
There was one time where Christianity was pagan. And that's because the Catholics wanted to attempt and try to kill off as much of the true church history as it possibly could. That's how Christ's true religion was counterfeited. It was done by the Catholics. There's a such thing I'd like for you to read. It's called the Catholic Crusades. It's very sad because it tells what happened to Muslims at the time when they were very peaceful, building their own community and empire, and what the Catholics came in and did to them.
So if you know about the Crusades, and you can conceive of the Catholics committing that atrocity to basically create a false religion.
I can attest to that. I can back that up or back you up with facts on that. Yes, sir.
So do you think it's possible that that's not the first time that it happened? And that
I believe, and I'm not sure because that's something that I only studied very briefly. But I believe that it happened in phases. There were different phases where the Crusades attacked these different Muslim communities, Christian communities. I can't pinpoint how it happened or what happened. Okay? But I can tell you that it did happen. And they were attempting to blot out as much Muslim religion, Christian religion, or true Christian religion and set up their own religion, which was pagan. In the book of Revelation, John, who was writing the book of Revelation, Patmos, made reference to this religion. He called it the Babylonian mystery religion, the mother of all harlots. He was talking about the Catholic Church. He was talking about the popes that have come along and slaughtered billions and millions of people trying to convert them to Catholicism. I believe that.
So
I know that. I've read that.
And somehow in the midst of all of this confusion and chaos, you found the true Christian doctrine.
I found it because Christ said that his church would be set up somewhere on this earth and the gates of hell would never prevail against it.
How do you know that Christ said that?
How do I know he said it? Well, it is in the Holy Word, brother. It's in his writing.
How do you know that it's his writing or that it's holy?
Well, there are other scriptures and verses that I have gathered that proves that God used these men like Moses and Jacob and the Apostle Paul and Timothy to use their hands to write his actual words. But it was his spirit power that was still here on this earth with the apostles for them to write those last few books of the New Testament. These men actually existed. They lived. However, they were killed very violently for the same thing basically Christ was doing, and that's just telling the truth. The true religion.
So if God wanted us to know something, and He created the sun, the moon, the earth, and the stars and everything,
Yes.
why does He have to then resort to use man as a conduit to get a message across? Couldn't He just make us aware of what He wants to know? Like, for example, when the baby's born, you don't have to teach the baby how to suckle a nipple. They instinctively know how to do it, and they know where to go to get their food from their mother. It's ingrained in them. So if God wanted us to know something, why didn't He just ingrain it in us the way that suckling nipples is ingrained in us?
Well, the process, and I want you to listen closely because you have a very, very good question. The process by which God wants to obtain the purpose for man here on this earth was going to be used through mankind. Hold on one second. This is my sister. Hold on. Hey, baby, what's going on? You want the shoes? Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on a second, little brother. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Hold on.
No problem.
Okay, there you go, brother. There you go. Do me a favor and tell her I'm on the phone. I'm going to be off in just a minute. She was trying to call me, okay? So I'll be off in just a minute. Okay, now I'm back, brother. I apologize. But, brother,
No problem.
man, when God created man from the dust of the ground, He had such a great purpose for man. Created man first because man was going to be the conduit by which He achieved His purpose here on earth. The problem is that man had to keep a very close relationship with his Creator. Adam decided to listen to his wife instead of listening to what God was telling him in the Garden of Eden. That relationship was broken. At that time, God decided that He could not depend on man. Man was incomplete. So man needed a little bit of extra help while on this earth. That help was His Holy Spirit. Okay? Now, follow along with me. Suckling and nourishing a baby with a nipple and milk is the same as God and man developing a close relationship and using that Bible that was entered to earth as the milk to read and understand how your life is to be lived here and how He is to be worshipped. But man has chosen, and I'm not talking about everybody, I'm just saying man has chosen to go his own way. Man has developed his own religion, his own law, his own views about marriage and family and homosexuality. Man has developed these things, and he has broken that umbilical cord that connects man and God so that he can be nourished. That's why the world is so sick. It would have been easy for him to do that way, but he wanted it this way because he has a very unique and complex purpose for man being here on this earth.
And
Man is not here to be selling drugs. Man is not here to be killing each other, stabbing each other. We're not here to be making rap music. We're here to be giving honor, praise, and glory to our Creator.
With the same rappers that you denounce will go to an award show, and right after talking about hoes and bitches and all of that, they get an award and they say, "I want to thank God."
That's true. That is true.
It's the very first thing out of their mouth. But furthermore, not only are followers of God, they don't seem to be what's the word? They're not real to me. They don't honorable. But even the story in Genesis is there are other stories that predate Genesis and almost word for word are the same story. So if it's true, I will ask you why don't you adhere to the original story such as the Epic of Gilgamesh? Have you had a chance to read it?
I have not had a chance to read it, and that's why I say I would really, really like for you to share with me some of your research, or at least text me until I can find it.
I'll be
I
glad
would
to do
love
so.
to, brother. I would love to. I'm a reader. I love to read.
I'll tell you what, and I'll put together an article and I'll post it and I'll send you a link to it via Facebook.
Well, I hope you do. I hope you do, man. I mean, dude, I would have to sit. Really, brother, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's a little place over there close to where you live today, I'll be buying your dinner, and we could sit down and we could grab our books and laptops, and we could just shop it all day.
Yeah, we can arrange that.
I would really like that. I had one brother here who I could really share a lot of things that me and you were talking about, but he moved. His job relocated.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll talk about it. We'll probably share some up. But what this in the Epic of Gilgamesh, what it is, it's an epic poem, and it comes from Mesopotamia, and it's from 1800 BC. So we're talking about a whole almost 2,000 years, 1,800 years before there was an idea of a Jesus or anything. And the story is a man named Enkidu and a woman named Shemad, and they were created by God from the soil, and God gave them dominion over the animals, and the woman tempted the man with the offering of food, and then they discovered their nakedness, and the man, because of his nakedness, left paradise, and God forbade him to return. Now this is what happened in the Epic of Gilgamesh, 1,800 years before Genesis.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's hard for me to take the Bible seriously when I've read these other stories that mirror the Bible, that predate the Bible, and that's not the only one. This is a plethora of these coincidences or what I would call just blatant plagiarism. And most of it is in the Bible. But other things that alert me or raise a red flag that the Bible's not true, or at least it's not the word of God, it's written by men, is because it just doesn't make sense. For example, in Genesis, the second chapter, it says that God put Satan on his belly, and that was his curse for deceiving Eve.
Okay.
But then in the book of
And
Job,
that's in Genesis. That's in Genesis 2.
Genesis 2:14.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking right here. Okay.
And in Job, you can go to Job, the second chapter, and the second verse, and God's talking to Satan, and it's interesting because it says, and let me pull it up, matter of fact, so I can give you the real what it says. When Job, the second chapter, it says that God had a meeting with the sons of God, basically, and Satan was among them. And I just thought that was interesting because it seemed like every time Satan does anything worth mentioning, God's with him, and that's just funny to me. But anyway, so Job, the book of Job, chapter 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. All right. So it says the sons of God present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also among them. So Satan's with them. They hanging out, all right, to present himself before the Lord.
Okay.
And the Lord said to Satan, "From whence comest thou?" Where the hell are you coming from? Right?
Where are you coming from? Yeah.
And Satan answered and said, "From going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down it."
Yes, sir. He was. He was definitely doing that.
But this is happened after Genesis, right? Where Satan got put on his belly in Genesis.
This was actually predating. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yes, this was predating Genesis, and you can find a little bit more research in the book of Ezekiel about how that came about, how Satan became who he was, how he got his name. I will share that with you too. Bro, we got a lot of stuff to send each other because I want you to really see who and what Satan is before his being kicked out of the heavens. Okay, being at the right hand of God, the Creator, and Christ Himself. See, something happened. We always have to look at or go back to the history instead of trying to eliminate it so that we can, get a definite view of what exactly happened or the who, the what, the when, the where, and how. So this is what I want to do because I've got to get ready and get dressed. Can you text me your address and I would like to text you my address? Can you get that material for me? I'm willing to pay for the postage. I'll give you my credit card or I can pay for it, whatever. But I want you to send it to me because I want to read it. And I want to send you some from the college that I attended in Edmond, Oklahoma, okay?
Okay.
And I want to share that with you. And like I said, it's not to try to get you to change your mind. I just want you, like I want to, I want to take another look at how these things happen. Okay. So, if possible, I'm going to try to get most of this stuff together as I can. I have a short week. I'm going to get it together, and maybe by the weekend I can have it ready to send off in the mail, okay?
All right, that'll work.
That sound good?
Yeah.
And, man, listen, I think we've had a good hour. I think this is a good hour. You definitely enlightened me on some things, and I hope that some things I've said have kind of helped you a little bit. But as we grow together in this relationship, I think we're going to make some progress, my friend.
All right. Yeah, and I'll, like I said, I'll get back to you on Facebook with a link with some more information, and include my address in it, and you can go ahead and send me that material.
Okay.
And I appreciate you. All right, so there we have it. Y'all heard it. Here we are, one of our black elders, Christian brother, who had ample time and opportunity to convince me that the Bible was true and that God was real. But it seemed like the brother really started having some doubts of his own. So for him to be 51 years old and to be having doubts about a religion that he's been practicing all of his life, it's kind of raised a red flag to me. Maybe this religion is not a real religion. Maybe it's full of bullshit, because after 51 years, you should be an expert at just about anything. Especially if you've been reading the same book. You should know that shit. After 51 years, you and Jesus should be right. Y'all should be right hand man. You know what I'm saying? So let's deal with what he said, though. Let's deal with what he said. He said that a baby being born knowing how to suckle nipples is analogous to a man knowing God through revelation. Now that don't make no sense, because if a baby's born knowing how to suckle a nipple, that means it's ingrained in the baby. It's not something that has to be taught. There's no man or woman that's born knowing how to read. So there's no way that a revelation from any book is the same as an instinct that's ingrained in us naturally. Alright? So if God wanted us to know something, he could have ingrained it in us naturally, the same way he ingrained suckling nipples in babies naturally. But he didn't ingrain the 10 Commandments in us naturally. Supposedly, we're supposed to get that through revelation. I think it's bullshit. I think it's man-made. But anyway, let's go on. Let's deal with the next thing that said. He said that the book of Job predated the book of Genesis. Now, I'm willing to go ahead and give a nigga the benefit of the doubt, because I'm pretty sure if I had a chance to talk to him, again, he would say that he misspoke, because everybody knows that Genesis is the first book. Hence, word Genesis. It literally means the beginning. Alright? So when God cursed Satan in Genesis and put Satan on his belly in Genesis as his punishment for deceiving Eve. And then we read in the book of Job when God asks Satan, where is he coming from? And Satan says, from going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down it. There's a contradiction there because he got cursed in the beginning, but yet later on in the story he's walking up and down the earth. And nobody dealing with this, all right? So we know he's wrong because he said the book of Job predated the book of Genesis. But that's not it though. Let's see what some real Christians got to say about this contradiction. Since y'all want to ask me why I don't believe. I'm gonna tell you what they got to say about it. Alright, let's deal with it. Now I'm on stackexchange.com, a Christian like a core. I don't know if y'all know what core is. It's like Google for Christians. Alright. So this guy now he prefaces his question by saying he only welcomes answers from Christians with the viewpoint that accept Genesis 1 day as 24 hours and the literal rendering of Genesis 1 to 11 events and believes in the Apostles' Creed. So those are only people he wants to hear from. And let's see what they had to say to answer this question. He phrased this question: how could Satan be cursed to crawl on the ground yet walk before God in Job? And then he goes on to say the only reconciliation I can think of is that serpents were different back then, not relegated to their beliefs as they are now. So the curse is directed to the animal and not Satan. But again, that don't make no sense. Because if God is God and he knows everything, why would he curse a serpent for something that he really didn't do if he was just possessed by Satan instead of cursing Satan and letting Satan get off scot-free? Alright? So if you believe that, then you believe that God just let Satan get off scot-free and curse the serpent. So let's see what some of the people answers are. Some of his Christian brethren. And this first dude disagrees with him, says Satan is not the snake in Genesis or the king in Isaiah and Ezekiel or Peter. Rather, he is the inspiration of iniquity and cursing of God. And Jesus teaches us to pray and deliver us from the evil one. Now, I don't know about you, but what that sounds like to me is that this brother just said that God is Satan. And this is what these people actually believe now. I'm reading it from the Christian way, and it's on the internet, so anybody can go here and correct these brothers at any time. But this is what these Christians believe. All right. So another one goes on to say no one can answer who or what it was cursed in the garden. All right. So he said you can't even know. So how you, if you can't know, how can you say that you believe it? Or that you believe it happened, and then in the same verse say, but you can't know. All right. That's just 3 of them. Y'all can go to the website and read it on your own. I'll post the link in the description. All right. So let's deal with something else the brother said. He has a high reverence. He upholds the 10 Commandments and has the 10 Commandments on some type of pedestal as if they're special or something. Alright? Well, first of all, the 10 Commandments are plagiarized from the 44 Negative Confessions of Ma'at. And again, I'll post the link in the description and you can see it. You can read it for yourself. And if you could tell me that it's not plagiarized and you can prove it, I want to know. But I guarantee you that the Ten Commandments mirror the 4 negative confessions of Ma'at word for word, and the confessions of Ma'at predate Christianity by thousands of years. Alright? Again, furthermore, right after Moses gets the Ten Commandments, what they do? One of the commandments is thou shalt not kill. But immediately after they receive those commandments, they go to a neighboring tribe, murder everybody, and they keep the virgins and rape them. Right after they got the Ten Commandments. But you want to ask me why I don't believe in the Bible. I'm asking you why you do. Alright? Why do you adhere to this bullshit? Y'all gonna wake up. And now, if you want to call and talk to me and prove something to me, you're welcome. The Facebook page is Quali Kush. The link is in the description. All you gotta do is send me a message, and we'll be in contact with you. I'll get back with you. You shoot me your phone number, I'll call you or whatever. We'll set something up. Do a Skype call or something like that. But I'm telling you, if you're trying to use that Bible to prove something to me, you're going to get smoked like this blunt. I'm just letting you know. So you need to come with something other than that Bible that proves what the Bible says. Because you can't use the Bible to prove itself. And with that being said, make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, smoke one, and I'll get back with y'all later. All right. Who we got on the line, Carlo? What's your name and where you calling from?
When you were reading the answer, told you correctly, but just because you refuse the truth and the simplistic explanation doesn't mean that you can continue to be ignorant and to be wrong just because you want to, bro. You got a right to be wrong if that's what you want, but if you asking for explanation and understanding when somebody give it to you, and then you just deny it just because. That's not progress, brother, and you're not being judicious in your ability to try and understand and learn, because there's a whole lot of goddamn learning, brother, that you need to do, bro. So, now,
we always learn. So what you got to teach us?
Let me go ahead and just reaffirm what the brother or sister who that was, the answer that you read earlier, that was the answer to your dilemma, because see, are you a follower of dumbass Polite? And have you followed his teachers, brother, over the years, bro?
I don't follow anybody, bro.
Okay, well, it's quite funny that you're repeating the same dumbass that I heard
maybe
Polite say.
If it's coincidence that I say something that Polite said, it's probably because it's true. You know, if 2 + 2 is 4, and I figure it out.
It's not a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence, because you're probably part of you have the same mentality as the God-hating, so-called Oreo Negro self-hating brother, who hate God, who hate the Bible, who hate Jesus.
Brother, how can you hate something that doesn't exist?
Bro, hold on, brother. But let me finish, bro. And all of you, brother, and you ain't the first one to say this. So don't lie and say you the first one to say, oh, well, what about, God, Satan having legs in Genesis, not having legs in Genesis, and then having legs in the story of Job. You ain't the first one to say that. So you heard somebody say that. And you probably, if you didn't hear it from Polite, you heard it from another ignorant brother or sister who was repeating what some other ignorant person in the conscious community was saying, and you all are still ignorant because nobody has stepped to you to teach you.
So I heard something and I agreed with it, and I repeat it. So what's your point?
Oh, okay, I know you agree with it, and now I'm going to reiterate the answer that you refused earlier. And if you continue to deny this answer, brother, okay, as the scripture explains very plainly what this is talking about, then you can continue to be ignorant. That's you. So don't walk around here acting like you right. You ain't right because you deny what is plainly written in front of your face. Now, let's go to Genesis,
get
brother.
to it then. Show me.
Let's get to it.
If I'm wrong, see, the difference is I'm not going around acting like I'm all high and mighty. If I'm wrong, I actually want to know that I'm wrong. So please educate me and enlighten me.
Well, let's
Black
see.
Jesus, I got a question, bro. Let me ask you something, Black Jesus. I'm an atheist, man. Like I said, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm an atheist in Fort Worth, man. We both in the South, right? Let me ask you a question, man. Why did God put the tree of knowledge of good and evil if God did not want them to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Because when you look at it like this, they was 100% innocent. They did not know it was good to obey God and bad to listen to the serpent. So they didn't know that until after they ate it. So what's up with this God doing that?
All right, I will give you that explanation as well, dear brother. So let me deal with the first one. May I do that, brother?
Go ahead.
And then come to your question.
Go ahead.
All right. In Genesis 3 and 1. Genesis 3 and 1 says, now the serpent was more subtle meaning, cunning, sneaky, intelligent, wise, subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made, and said unto the woman, and he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So to make a long story short, what happened here is that Satan, who is an angel, brother, I don't know if you knew that, because see, I'm listening to you talk, and then when I hear brothers and sisters like you make these statements and make these questions, it lets me know how much you don't know the Bible, okay, and how much you don't have to understand the Bible. It's like me listening to I'm a PhD and I'm listening to somebody in kindergarten when it comes to the difference between your understanding and my understanding, people who really understand the Bible.
Well, I wish you would educate me and stop talking about how much you know, man, and teach something.
Verse 3. So this is God talking. This is first of all, Satan is an angel. Satan was never a snake. That's not his natural state. Angels are not snakes. But clearly, at verse 3 and 1, we're talking about a damn snake. Okay? Now, the Bible also teaches us that angels have the power to transform themselves into any form that they want to, or to inhabit the bodies of human beings and animals. Did you hear what I just said, brother?
Yeah, you just said you believe in magical animals that don't exist.
Oh, listen, brother. Now, look here, brother. Now, if you're gonna lie on me and get stupid, then I'm gonna start up with the.
No, bro. You just asked me what you just said. What you just said. You talking about angels? Angels are fictional beings.
I goddamn thing about no magical animals, bro.
You said angels, bro. Angels are magical animals.
I said the first thing I told you, brother. The first thing I told you that Satan is an angel, not a goddamn snake.
What's the angel? What's the angel, bro?
Goddamn, bro. Yeah, I see. This what
it's a simple question.
Is, bro.
It's a simple question. What is an angel?
Let me tell you what an angel is, bro. An angel is an angelic creature that is likewise made in the image and likeness of God, whose original state of being and abode is in the heavenlies with God. Okay?
Can you demonstrate that, Black Jesus? Black Jesus, can you demonstrate an angel?
No kindergarten, brother. I'm gonna give you these answers real quick. So we can move on to these questions. You have me on here all goddamn day playing silly. You know what an angel is, nigga. Don't play games with me.
Bro, I don't know what the hell no angel is, bro.
Bro,
What you talking about?
Bro,
That's some shit you
I
made
don't know
up,
what
bro.
angel is, Black
Let me
Jesus.
finish this information, bro. Now, Satan is an angel, my man, not a goddamn snake. Okay. Now,
It sounds like a fairy tale to me, man.
Brother, let me finish, bro. And the Bible teaches us that angels have the ability to shapeshift and to transform into any kind of being. They can transform into humans. They can transform into animals. They can even inhabit the body of human beings, possess bodies of human beings. They can even possess the body of animals.
How
This
does that
goes for
work?
demons
How does
and
that work?
angels. No, don't ask me no more nefarious question. You let me finish teaching you
Bro,
right now.
you just told me you
I'm
had a
not gonna- I'm not
PhD
gonna
in
sit
this,
here-
bro.
I'm
Now
gonna
you
be
telling
on
me
your
don't
show
ask you no
and-
questions?
Brother, I'm not gonna be on your show for 10 hours, giving you every. We can talk later, and I'm gonna give you my number, and I will take my time to teach you all.
Black Jesus.
Man,
no,
look,
for the
bro.
show.
No, you ain't
So now let
got
me
no
read the
sense, bro.
sentence, bro.
No, you
Now,
talking about
so-
some bullshit, man. I'm asking you a question, and you talking about don't ask you no
brother,
question
but
after
are
you just
gonna
told
let
me you got a
finish the
PhD in
explanation,
this.
sir? So are you gonna let me finish the explanation?
Are you gonna let me
Now,
ask questions if
Black
I don't
Jesus,
understand what you're
really
talking
been
about?
Black Jesus, you've really been talking too much, but you never gave any demonstration or any explanation of what you're talking about.
Realize how many times you guys have interrupted me, man, and I would have been finished almost by now?
Black Jesus, we have not interrupted you. We're just trying to get clarity on what you're talking about.
Let me finish, bro. Let me finish.
Man, all right, bro. You got
Now,
3 minutes. Go
so
ahead.
let me just say what I gotta say, and then I will try to answer your follow-up question, because I still gotta answer my other man's question.
Black Jesus.
Then he asked me the second question.
Black Jesus,
So now,
you
brother,
got 3 minutes,
so
brother.
Satan,
Uninterrupted.
number one, Satan is an angel and not a snake. Okay? Now, Genesis 3:1 is definitely talking about a snake. Because he said that what? That the serpent was wise, more subtle than any beast of the field. So what happened was Satan as an angel inhabited the body of a snake. Why did Satan choose a snake? Because the snake's personality, all animals have certain type of peculiar personalities. Because the snake personality was most similar to that of Satan. And so Satan saw that snake and said, that snake act like me. That snake think like me. And he inhabited and made himself visible to Eve, who was a human being, because human beings can't see angels. We can't just see them straight up, okay, because they're not physical beings as we are here on this earth. So Satan manifested himself by going into the body of a snake, this animal, a real snake, and was speaking to her telepathically, not from his mouth, because human beings used to have the power to communicate with animals telepathically. We lost that ability, but we still have some people who can do it, and they're called animal whisperers. We got people today who can talk to animals who are called animal whisperers, okay? Now, this is the same ability that Adam and Eve had and all man had in the very early part of creation. Now, so then this snake that Satan was inside of was talking to Eve and tempted her to do that. And then after she did what she did, then God cast out Satan out of the snake, and then God crushed the snake, not because what the snake did, but because he cursed the snake because he could, because he's God. And the snake to this day is a symbol of that which is evil and wicked. And when men look upon snakes, we're reviled. The most of us are reviled when we see a snake. So God uses the animal, the snake, to remind us of the nature of Satan. And that's something that's a type of personality that we should avoid and not strive to be like. So yes, brother.
So Black Jesus. Okay, so that's been 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm just give me 1 minute to finish it up. So when God removed the legs from the snake, because snakes used to have legs, if you look at reptiles today, they have 4 nodules on their bodies that used to be legs, that are vestigials of legs, just like lizards have legs. So snakes used to run around like lizards do. But snakes no longer have legs, but they had legs, and this is evidence that the Bible is true. And so when Satan was talking to God, during the story of Job, Satan was not in the form of a snake. He was in his angelic form, his normal form as an angel, brother. Now, do you understand that?
Snakes have vocal cords. Do amphibians and lizards have vocal cords?
I just told you that, brother, I'm answering your question, brother. I just told you that Satan spoke through that snake to her telepathically, sir. Did you hear me say that?
Where in the Bible does it say they did it telepathically?
I don't give a damn what something that, bro. This is extra Bible.
Wait, hold on. So you didn't say you don't give a damn what the Bible said? Did you just say you don't give a damn what the Bible says? Okay.
Bro, everything.
Wait, you hear this? Wait, did you hear him?
I hear.
Bro, everything that exists and that is true cannot be contained in one book. Okay, so this is reading other books that I have been able to understand that to get that extra knowledge. Okay, that the snake was talking to us telepathically because we have animal whispers to do.
What can we find that in, brother?
Oh,
like
brother,
what can we find that in?
Okay. All right, brother. Now let's go to your question.
You said you read other books other than the Bible. What book can we find out that snake has vocal cords?
Brother. Ain't nobody more educated in the black community than black Christians. Don't nobody read more books than black Christians.
Black Christians only read one damn book. Y'all only read one damn book, and it's a fairy tale.
And black Christians are the most educated group of people in the black community, bro. Shut your ass up.
Okay. Black Jesus, can I ask you a question?
Man, chill out, bro. Chill out, man.
How do you know that Satan? Hold on, bro.
Black Jesus, like you, or people reading the Christian do. You dumbass niggas probably barely made it out of high school or some goddamn dropouts and talking about you read books more than Christians do.
Black Jesus, you know what SFA is? You know what Stephen F. Austin State University is? You know what SFA is?
Well, Stephen F. Austin didn't help your ass one bit, bro. Okay.
All right, look, man. All right, look, bro. Because we ain't here to throw insults at each other, man. Because really the facts speak for itself, man. You could insult us all you want to, but I just want to know how you know that Satan was the snake in the Bible. Like, where you get that from?
Because I read it, brother.
Where you read it?
I read it. You can read it right there.
Right where? Bro, tell me where. I'm an atheist, bro. You got to tell me where it's at. I don't know the Bible like that. Tell me so I can learn. I'm trying to find if God exists. I want to know for real. So where you know that Satan is the snake?
Let me go to the
what verse do it say that?
What scripture? Brother, and I'm coming back to that. What was your question, brother?
What scripture does it say that Satan was the snake?
No, not that question. I'm talking about the other question the brother asked me earlier. What was the second question?
Okay, so Quayle, would you being a host? Can we deal with that question of why did God put the tree of knowledge in the garden? Why would he do that?
Go ahead. Because he's gonna have to deal with both of them.
Ultimately, yes, sir. Ultimately, brother, God had to give man the power and the ability of choice to execute his identity as a God. Once you become a God is a person who has free will and has free reign to decide what they want to do and what they don't want to do. If you don't have the free will and the free reign to decide what the hell you want to do, then that means that you are a slave and you're a perpetual child.
Okay, pause right there. Okay, good answer. So who consecrated God as a God? But you said once you become a God, so who consecrated God to be a God?
Hold on, brother. Hold on. You jumping around. Now let me finish.
No, I'm not, sir. You said once you become a God.
Bro, let me finish this out with you, bro. I want to finish your point out with you. Now, brother, the same way when Jesus said, he said, refer to God as your Father. The word Father means source. The word God and Father also means creator. God's proper title, one of his proper titles is the Most High God. That's his title, the Most High God. All right? Now, that's
okay, so you're diverting from the question.
Bro.
You're diverting from my question. I'm asking you why did God...
Brother, trust me, I am.
Okay, cool.
I'm saying to you, so if God's proper title is the Most High God, and in the book of Psalms says, ye are all God's children of the Most High God, God is acknowledging that there are other gods, and God created them. The angels are God, men are God. That's why God said, have no other gods before me, because I am the Most Highest God. I am the creator of all of you. No one is greater than me. Now, so again, brother, in reference to why God put that tree in the middle of the garden, because that was the opportunity to give them the option of choice, and to no longer to continue to be children or to be slaves and having the right to obey God or disobey God, bless God, and say, to hell with you, God. All right? And that's the choice that we have today. By having that choice and free will, we are God. If we didn't have free will, we would be slaves to God. And God didn't want us to be no goddamn slaves to him. He wanted us to have choice and to love him of our own free will.
Okay, so can I ask you another question? So that was really there was a bunch of red herrings and straw man.
No, that's the truth. You just don't like the truth, brother. That's your problem.
No, it's not the truth, because I'm not saying this. Okay, so let me ask you this. So you talking about God gave us a choice. Now, did Adam and Eve have the knowledge of good and evil prior to eating the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Did they already have that knowledge?
No.
So how did they know? So how was God how did they get a choice? So if they did not have knowledge of good and evil prior to eating the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then they didn't know that it was good to obey God and wrong to listen to the serpent. So how did God give them free choice? So how did they even know that it was good and bad?
Again, listen, brother. Okay, listen. Let me say this, for example. Just like as a parent, at some point in time, your children belong to you, and you are responsible for all their actions, and they're your children. But then as soon as your children reach a certain age, you got to take your hands off them, you got to let them go, and they have to make their own choices. You cannot control them for the rest of their life. You might want to, but you cannot. You got to let them go. The same thing with mankind. When God created man, at some point, he had to let us make our own choices and make our own mistakes, just like we got to let go of our own children.
But is God all knowing? Don't he know what everybody going to do already?
Hold on, brother. So, brother, hold on. So if the tree was never there, if there was never an option for them to obey God or disobey God, that tree represented the opportunity to do it. But once they did it, once they disobeyed God, then the knowledge of disobeying God, okay, well, disobeying God ain't that bad. I kind of enjoy that. It tasted good anyway. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing that happens with your children. You know, and
so basically, God needed them to do that in order for sin to enter the world.
Yes, sin had to enter into the world. There's no doubt about that, brother.
So basically, your God is an asshole.
No, that's no God. He's not an asshole because he gave your ass a chance to choose what you want to do.
So is God all knowing? Is God all knowing, bro?
Say what, bro?
Is God all knowing? Does he know
what I'm going to do before I do it? Now you brothers are going all over the place right now. Let me ask you.
I'm not going all over the place. It's very relevant, man. It's a quick question.
Hold on, bro. Are you brothers black? Are you two brothers black?
Nigga. Do I sound black to you?
No, I'm African.
No, I know you. I'm just double checking. I don't know you guys there. I'm just some people do it, some people don't. Are you black, brother? Both you brothers black.
I'm African.
Oh, okay. Are you American African? Black African Americans or black African American?
Yes.
I'm an American African.
This is the new atheist experience.
Oh, okay.
And we are black.
Now, brothers. Now, hold on, brothers. Now, and you guys can Google this. Y'all can Google this real goddamn quick, brother. What people, what culture, what people did atheism come from? Did it come from Africans? Did it come from Asians? Or did it come from Europeans?
Atheism didn't come from nowhere, bro. Atheism is a natural state. You born not believing.
Okay, brother.
You are born not believing, bro. Everybody's born atheist.
I'm gonna give both of you a chance to answer, but to answer one at a time. Okay, brother. What was your answer? It came from what?
So atheism didn't come from anywhere, bro. It's a natural state of when you born, you just born not believing it. So you have to be taught about a God. You don't be born knowing that a God exists or something. Somebody have to convince you that a God exists. So you already an atheist when you born. It don't have to come from nowhere.
Okay, now let me hear the other brother. Go ahead, brother. Where does atheism come from, sir?
Well, if you're talking about if you're talking about the label aspect, yes, it does come out of Greece, but it is basically the rejection of
the label, the belief system,
the label. But like you said, hold on, Black Jesus. See, you don't let us finish.
Where did it come from? What people?
No, it doesn't come from anywhere. But if you're talking about the label or the word, it does come out of Greek, meaning atheos.
No, I'm talking about the philosophy of atheism, sir. Where did it come from?
It comes out of Greece. It comes out of Greece, but we had it. You're born an atheist. You're born a non-believer in a God. Atheism is just a rejection of theistic claims, sir.
Yeah, atheism ain't like religion, bro. It ain't like something that you gotta follow and all that shit. It's just not believing.
Can I respond?
Atheism does not have a religious decorum. You don't have to follow
I think you're mistaken on what atheism is.
All right, well, just let me know when I can respond to you, brothers. You wayward brothers. You wayward black African brothers. Let me know when I can respond to you, Negroes.
All right, Negro. You can respond as soon as you understand that atheism is not like a religion. It's just all it means is that you lack a belief.
I don't need no damn understanding. You brothers are woefully ignorant and need some damn understanding to stop all this goddamn lying.
You call yourself Black Jesus. You call yourself Black Jesus, bro. You call yourself Black Jesus. You don't even understand that Jesus enslaved black people. You call yourself Black Jesus and you don't even understand that. And you talking about you don't need no understanding. You a walking contradiction. You a walking contradiction, bro.
I understand way more than you two brothers put together, bro.
Man, you don't understand shit. You don't even understand the Bible that you read.
Okay, well, let me know when I can respond to you brothers, okay?
You've been responding, man. Go ahead.
No, but I want to talk without being interrupted, though.
Man, if you can make some sense, you can talk without being interrupted. When you stop making sense, we're going to ask you some questions.
I'm responding to your questions too. I've been responding to your questions. So now, brother, the second brother who said that this was from Greece, you goddamn right. And when you Google it up, and everybody listening to this show, all you dumbass, silly ass, ignorant ass niggas, atheist ass niggas, y'all brothers are some goddamn Oreos. You are some white niggas. This is a white man European theology. This ain't no African theology. Nowhere in Africa, at no time, brother, in African history, bro, did atheism ever spawn in Africa. Nowhere.
Man,
atheism,
who cares? Time out. No, I'm not going to let you finish, bro. I'm not going to let you finish, bro.
Let me finish. I'm almost done.
No, I don't give a damn, bro. I don't give a damn.
Q&A mode on.
You muted.
Participants may now unmute themselves.
All right, they can only hear me. All right, you put you on mute.
Man, that's crazy, man. This dude is just off the wall, man.
Yeah, he off the wall, man. I don't even remember what the fuck he was saying. But first of all, bro, atheism ain't like a religion, man. You don't have to get it from somewhere. And what he was talking about, atheism don't come from Africa, nigga. Jesus don't come from Africa, you dumb motherfucker. Jesus don't come from Africa. Where you get Jesus from, nigga? The first slave ship. That's where you got your name from. And you talking about you don't need no understanding.
And the letter J wasn't invented to 1524. The letter J wasn't invented to the 1500s. So where are you getting this J from?
Now I'm gonna unmute you, bro. So I'm gonna let you back on. But you gotta understand that you need some understanding. You walk around like you don't need to know nothing, and you sound stupid. You sound stupid, bro. Black Jesus.
Conversation mode on. Everyone can be heard. Unmuted.
To unmute my mic?
You unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, bro. Now, to all you brothers and sisters listening to my dear brothers who are sincere, these brothers are sincere. But these brothers are ignorant as all goddamn hell, and y'all don't mind telling a goddamn lie. The atheism, the thought, the culture, the philosophy of atheism is European, sir. Exclusively,
but the Europeans, hold on, but the Europeans created your Jesus, sir. The Europeans created your motherfucking Jesus. Your fake ass Jesus.
Okay, now you open up my mic.
Bro, you talk too much. You talk too much, but you're not giving us.
Q&A mode on.
Look, Black Jesus.
Participants may now unmute themselves.
Let's do this, man. We gonna say that you're right. Okay, atheism come from the white man. Cool, you got it. Atheism come from the white man. Now, where did Jesus come from, Black Jesus?
Conversation mode on. Everyone can be heard. Unmuted.
Again, brother, thank you for agreeing with the truth that atheism is the white man's philosophy and culture.
No, we just gonna say hypothetically for this conversation, we gonna say that you're right.
Finish talking, bro. So that makes
Where did
all
Jesus
of you
come
Negro,
from?
all of you descendants of Africa, that makes you some Euro, Negro, Negro.
Bro, where do Jesus come from? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. Bro, that's all I want to know is where do Jesus come from, bro? Do it come from Africa?
Bro.
Do it come from Africa, bro? Do it come from Africa, bro?
Brother,
why you can't answer the question?
Is the natural, brother, excuse me, bro. Atheism, the belief in no God, is the natural mind of the white cave beast that the slave master has taught you parrot-ass niggas. You niggas have learned the white man's true nature, and you love his nature more than he do,
Where
bro.
did Jesus come from? Where did the Jesus come from?
Change the subject, bro.
Bro, this is not changing the subject.
Very relevant.
So again, brother,
this is not changing the
when you
subject.
accept atheism, you have rejected your African spirituality, culture, and identity.
Q&A mode on.
Okay.
Participants may now unmute themselves.
Black Jesus,
Kemet
you
is my
muted
spirituality.
again. You muted again, Black Jesus. Bro, all we want to know is one thing from you, man. We already conceded, you know what I'm saying? We gave it to you. Like we playing devil's advocate here. We gonna say that you right. Okay, atheism come from the white man, and whatever you say is true. But we want to know, where do you get this Christianity shit from? That's all we want to know, bro. Where you get that from? We got to unmute you.
Conversation mode on. Everyone can be heard. Unmuted.
Go ahead, Black Jesus. Where you get Christianity from? You still there? Hello.
Ali, oxen free.
Conversation mode on. Everyone can be
you got
heard.
to unmute his mic.
Unmuted.
Yeah.
He unmuted?
Like Jesus.
All right, I guess he don't want to
Because
talk.
all he doing is really yelling, bro. All he doing is just yelling and spewing out shit out the side of his neck. He just pulling straws and basically trying to, make. He's basically giving us a false history.
He lying, man.
Of
He
where
lying,
atheism.
bro. Okay, so he didn't answer the question. How do he know that Satan was the snake? Because he never said that in the Bible. So I'm asking, like, where do you get that from? You just making this shit up. Then he talking about vegetable organs and shit. All that do is prove evolution. That disproves God. That don't prove your story. If God is so smart, then why would he have animals with vegetable parts and all that shit? That don't make no sense and all that shit. And then you talking about all this shit from Genesis and shit. But
and what I was gonna say is,
go ahead.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask Jesus, like, when Adam was naming the animals and the insects, did he name the housefly a housefly? If so, then what was the houses at? To call a housefly a housefly. You see what I'm saying? Or a barn owl. There was no barn or houses at the time, so how the fuck you gonna name a housefly when there was no houses then?
All right, and then he gonna run away when the questions get tough. Everything that he trying to say, that's the point. That's why I gave it to him, because like, even if you right, it just proves that you wrong. Because you talking about we got it from a white man, but your name is Black Jesus. Where the hell Jesus come from, bro? Because you know damn well, you study history, that shit come from the fucking white man, bro. So you talking about all this bullshit about atheism, bro. First of all, atheism can't come from nowhere. All it is a lack of belief. It's not some belief system or religion or group or whatever. You know what I mean? That's why I use the word to try to spread the awareness of what it really means. It's not what he's trying to make it seem like it is. So, like, it don't like.
He's just trying to discredit atheism to enforce his to basically make his religion more profound against Europeans, but he is stealing shit from the European. He's a culture vulture. The Jesus concept comes from Europeans. They first called themselves Christians in Antioch. Where is that? Greece. So if you're a Christian, then that means you are following Greek culture.
Right, I got the book on my channel right now, The Golden Stool, that explains explicitly how the Europeans came to Africa and used Christianity and spread it around the whole continent, and then they enslaved the Africans using Christianity the whole time. So everything that he's saying just disproves his whole point. That's why I gave it to him. I was like, bro, you can be right. You know what I'm saying? You can say that everything you saying is true, but where the hell Jesus come from? He left. He got to run.
Right. And, the thing is, Sinetta, he was on Sinetta's show, man. Sinetta had to mute him several times, man, and because he like to cuss people out because nobody want to believe his in his imaginary sky theory, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I'm not about to play them games with you, man.
he,
I'm not about to go back and forth with you on the internet about some imaginary bullshit, man. I'm gonna just let the record show and speak for itself. You the Christian and I'm the atheist, but you the one calling me the nigga, all this and what all the shit he was talking. I don't even know what he said.
Dumbass Negroes, y'all following the white man, blah blah blah. But your Jesus is white.
But you
supposed
to be
yourself a black.
And you supposed to be a Christian though, and y'all like Christian supposed to be all high and mighty and talking about where you get your morality from and all this and that. What morality you got? You know what I'm saying? Calling in, talking all that bullshit.
Man, it almost make me be ashamed to be a Texan, bro. And this nigga from Houston, and I'm like 4 hours from this cat, man. I'm like, God damn, bro.
Then they gonna ask me, is we black?
Woke down here in the Texas.
That nigga said, is we black?
If we black, like, what the fuck does that mean? New Atheists experience. Do you know what the word new means?
Exactly, bro. Like, you know what show you on, bro? Is we black?
Well, Black Jesus, call back in, man. I mean, you did a lot of talking, but you didn't basically answer any questions. He did more talking than answering questions. Because he would go off on a different tangent and talk about other shit when we ask him a question. Like when I asked him a question, I was like, well, did God, or when you asked him is God all knowing, he started talking about some other shit. Oh, that's not relevant. I said, it's very relevant.
Yeah, he could talk about we changing the subject.
He knew what was going to happen.
Subject.
That was very relevant to the thing because in order for God to give us a choice, he had to know the prior. Well, excuse me. If God is all knowing, then he had to know the choice he was going to make prior to us making it. So when he put the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the midst of the garden, he knew that Adam and Eve was going to eat of it because he created Adam and Eve. You know what I'm saying? He knew this 13.5 billion years ago. Like, okay, I'm first create me an adversary, which is called Satan, and then I'm gonna create these two humans on one planet. There's thousands of millions of planets in the galaxy, but in the universe. But I'm only gonna create one planet with life on it. And I think I'm going to make them eat from this fruit and then try to tell them not to eat of it, even though I want them to eat of it, because I need sin I need sin to enter the world in order for me to basically kill myself to myself.
Yeah,
and serve as a loophole for rules I'm in charge of, you know.
So God set Adam and Eve up, you know what I'm saying? Because he put the tree in the garden, and they didn't know before they ate of the tree. They didn't know good and evil, so they didn't know that eating the tree was wrong. Really, they didn't have knowledge of good and evil.
And he agreed to that. And he basically agreed. I said, did they know? He agreed. He said, no, they did not know. So why are you punishing somebody for not knowing? Ignorance is bliss, right? They always say ignorance is bliss. So God could have said, oh, well, I didn't know. I didn't give y'all the mental capability to say, hey, because you didn't know. Because you had, in order for you to know that it was wrong to disobey me, you had to eat from that fruit. So God basically put the mechanism in order for them to have knowledge. They didn't have knowledge. And that's why I'm saying, if they didn't have knowledge of shit, how did Adam name all the fucking animals? And how the fuck did he hold his breath long enough to go down there and name a whale and an octopus?
Yeah, man, it's obviously not true. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who do enough research or just spend enough time on the qualitykush.com site, you will find out that the whole Adam and Eve shit is just allegory, you know, and it's not even original. So it's the Johnny Come Lately watered down, diluted version of some earlier shit, all mixed together, mostly, you know what I'm saying, from Mesopotamia and shit. Some of it from Africa. So I don't know, like, where the people like Black Jesus come from. They claim they do research, but they come to the exact wrong conclusion. I don't understand that shit. Then he talking about, you got your shit from Polite. So I'm like, brother, if I research mathematics and I figure out that A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and somebody on YouTube say that shit and I say that shit, that don't mean I got it from them. That just mean that the shit might be true. You know what I'm saying? We both study the same shit. You know what I mean? So
exactly, because the consensus, like, especially when they talked about evolution, in Christians' mind, period, they think everything just happens spontaneous, but they have a problem with us saying that things happen naturally. You know what I'm saying? And when we take the whole supernatural aspect out of their creation story, you know what I'm saying? And we ask them, well, this is what I asked them. I don't know if you ever asked a Christian, what did God use to make the universe? Is God a physical God or an immaterial God or non-physical to create a physical universe? Nobody got nothing from Polite. Polite asked the same goddamn question. In order for this God to be a creator, in a physical universe, he has to be physical as well.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then when you're looking at mathematics, physics, and stuff like that, planet formations and stuff from secretion disks, it's not nobody's information. This is the best explanation of the origins of the universe. It's nobody's information. This is what all the scientists are saying. All the astrologists are saying. I mean, not astrologers, but the astronomers are saying. Astronauts. That's why they're going into space and shit, so they can actually see how things work.
Somebody in the chat, Kings of Israel Truth said, "What's y'all creation story?" So I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first, man. What's your creation story?
Man, my creation story started with my mom and dad having sex. To be honest,
I don't know what story. What about the universe? My creation, the creation of the universe. I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay, cool. So the origins of the universe basically starts from a singularity, you know what I'm saying, that expanded. It wasn't a bang, it was just an expansion. You know what I'm saying, according to what science has said. You know what I'm saying? It's an expansion because it's very demonstrable. You got the background radiation, you got the celestial dust that basically coalesced under its own and collapsed under its own gravity and formed nebulas and stuff like that created
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
I'm
gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna ask you, where did the singularity come from then? Cause I'm gonna assume that he gonna say God made the singularity, or God started, or God sparked the Big Bang or whatever. So what's your answer to that?
So what my answer to that is we don't know. I don't know, and I have no issue saying I don't know, but we only have evidence of the singularity expanding. You know what I'm saying, creating a physical universe. So we don't know. And we don't pretend to know either. We just go by the evidence that's been presented.
Cool. I would say, I personally, I lean more towards, I say first, I don't know, but I think it's more likely that the universe is eternal, because I don't see how I don't see how there could be a state of nothing being in existence. That doesn't make sense to me. And all we know of is things change in form. You know, things don't come into existence. We never seen something come into existence. Even like you, for example, you say you was a product of your mom and daddy having sex. Like, you didn't come from nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Those atoms existed as a seed in your mother and a seed in your father, you know, that came together to make you. But at some point, you know, some form of you in some form of matter always existed. You know, even if you like blow up the earth, it's not going to disappear. It's just going to be in a bunch of little pieces, right? But those pieces still going to exist. Every atom still going to be accounted for. So I don't see how nothing can be. So I don't think the universe came into existence. So I don't think there needs to be something to create it, you know. And furthermore, like, if you, the whole reason for people to make up a God anyway is to answer the question that the Kings of Israel Truth asked, well, what's the creation story? Where did it all come from? Well, if your whole reason for inventing a God is to explain where did it come from, my question is, where the hell did the God come from? Because if you need to invent a God to explain where things come from, then your God is subject to the same rule. Where did he come from? Or where did it come from? So it doesn't answer the question. It just pushes the question back and creates an even bigger mystery, because now we got to explain not only where this God came from, but what's the nature of the God? What does the God want? What does the God expect from us? You know, and all that is this extra bullshit.
And not only right, and not only that, what is God? What is a God, and what is God made up of? You know what I'm saying? That's my question to.
So it doesn't make sense to make up a God, because we can study the universe. We can tell you something about what the universe is made of. It's made up of, at least within our five senses and what our tools and instruments can detect and all that stuff. But we can't do none of that stuff with God. All we can do is listen to some other motherfucker speculation about what God might have said, and they can't prove that God said the shit. And it is real convenient for the motherfuckers who want to oppress you if you believe the shit. It just so happens. You know what I'm saying? So that's the argument from ignorance. That's the God of the gaps fallacy. You know, I don't know, therefore God. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have any other explanation but God. And it's sad that people don't do any research past their damn apartment complex. You know what I'm saying? They just sit there, read their Bible, do little pretty verses that make them feel all fuzzy and tingly. You know what I'm saying? And they don't do any research. They just say, oh, the Bible says.
Because every time we ask Black
He
Jesus a
said
question, oh, it's in the Bible.
he said the God was eternal, like the universe. But you can call in, bro. The line's still open. You know what I'm saying? The number's on the bottom of the screen. You ain't got to stay in the chat. You can call in and speak in real time. But yeah, what you say to him saying the God is eternal? But I just say, if you say the God is eternal, you still have to explain where this God came from. You have to present evidence of this God existing. I can present evidence that the universe exists. You know, I really don't have to, because I don't think that you would disagree with me. But, you know, if you disagree that the universe exists, then that's a whole nother debate. But I think we agree on that. So it's really no point in, you know what I'm saying, going there. So we do disagree on whether or not the God exists. So can you present evidence on whether your God exists? So what you're doing is you're switching the burden of proof, really. You know what I'm saying? You asking me for evidence when you're the one making up the God. And I'm asking you, what's the evidence of the God? If I tell you I got a magic dragon that grants wishes, but he works at the same rate of chance, then how can I ever prove that this invisible magic dragon exists if I don't show you any evidence? And if all I got is evidence is some letters from some dude, Paul, that died 2,000 years ago, then that's really not good evidence. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, call in with your evidence, bro.
And this is my question too. Why did God talk 2,000 years ago, but he ain't talking now?
Exactly. And I mean, this would be the perfect time, if God did exist, to just call in on the show and be like, hey, of God, you know, cut the power off or some shit. I don't know. Why do he allow us to have an atheist podcast if he want us to believe in him? Obviously, he don't care. He's indifferent if he does exist, right? So I don't get it. But that's why this is the new atheist experience. We didn't even go over the book of the day, but the book of the day was Stolen Legacy. That shit is it's a real good book. Talk about all the shit that Black Jesus need to know about how the Greeks stole all the information they got from Africa. You know what I'm saying? So all that math and medicine and a lot of science originated in Africa. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the book talk about. So if y'all want to listen to the audio book, go to qualitykush.com. It's called Stolen Legacy. Very good read. And you don't got to read it. You can just listen to it. No need to read. But Kwame, you got anything else before we head out, man?
Oh no, man. I don't got no more questions. I just want this King guy. I want King to call in, man, and explain to us what is his God and what is his God made up of. And I think that's the issue that Christians have. They just say, like when I was talking to the Israelites on I think that was Sunday, man. Not Sunday, but Saturday night, when I was telling you about King Judah and this cat that called himself Israelite. When I asked them what is their God made up of, they always say a spirit. I said, well, when you look at the etymology of the word spirit, it comes from the Latin, which is spirare, means wind, breath, of air. Then it comes from the Greek, which is pneuma, means wind, breath, of air. So you mean to tell me God is wind, breath, and air? Yeah, I did not know wind, the same components of molecules of O2 can create a physical universe.
That's why I really don't even like to use that word, because it don't mean anything. It's just a word that people use as a placeholder for something that they don't know about. You know, it's like I say, where the hell, what is God made up? Oh, he made up of a spirit. Well, what is a spirit? Everybody answers that question differently. You know what I'm saying? Just like when you ask them what is God, everybody answers differently, because the shit ain't real. It's imaginary. It's made up.
Exactly. And when I say what is God, they say, well, he's the prime creator. I say, I'm not asking you what he did or it did. I'm asking you what is a God. Like, and I can ask you what is a human. Or you might say he's made up of bones and atoms and stuff like that. You'll basically describe a human. But when I ask you to describe what your God is, you just basically don't give us an explanation. You just give us, oh, he's a creator, or it's a creator, or whatever you want to call it. You know? So I think it's spookism, man.
King Judah said that wasn't us, bruh, don't lie.
What did he say now? Come back again?
That wasn't us, bruh, don't lie.
You say King Judah?
Yeah. Did you say you was talking to King Judah, or it might be another Judah? Or
It depends on because it's a lot of people that call themselves King Judah.
Right.
Is he King Judah? Ask him, do he have IMO?
Well, he hear you.
Yeah, okay. Do you have IMO?
Shit, he in the chat. He'll respond. But they ain't gonna call in, man, because they just want to go back and forth in the chat room and stuff. You know what I mean? But
yeah, hey, King Judah, call in, bro.
Electric Kane says, why are Christians so in love with Israel? That's a good question, though. Why are they so in love with Israel, man? It's like they got Reggie Mabry said they got a fucked up, like sick, twisted love relationship with their enslaver. You know what I'm saying? They don't even understand that, first of all, they wrote these myths to corral their own people, you know what I'm saying, first. And then they started using them when the New Testament came around. They started using them on other people. You know, that's what the whole New Testament was about. It was about giving the gospel to non-Christians. And they had to make that shit look like something that they would digest easy. So that's why it mirrors all these other religions so much.
So obey your master, and you'll get a reward when you die. And you ain't gonna find out if this reward is real until after you die. Which is so basically like a scam, bro. It's like a scam to me.
It's a fucking con, man. That's exactly what it is. It's a fucking con.
But yeah, King Judah, come on, call in, man. Man, I'm challenging all Christians. Like, we want the smoke. Hey, Quaylen, you should basically put in the next title. We want that smoke from Christians, Jews, Muslims. We want that smoke. So y'all call in, because we want the smoke today.
Call in, man. Y'all see the number? Just call in and put in the access code. It's all on the screen.
And another thing Black Jesus mentioned that, you know, when he was talking about biology of the snake, talking about lizards and snakes are the same. Yes, they are both, arthropods or something like that. They're both the same, but a snake has a different cellular structure from a lizard as far as like growing arms and legs. Snakes are not lizards, and lizards are not snakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he don't know what he's talking about.
They come from the same. Yeah. Because if you know anything about speciations and stuff like that and mutations, because lizards have to grow arms and legs in order to climb to get food. You know what I'm saying? Like they ate ants and shit like that. Snakes are on their stomach to eat rodents and shit, like ground animals. You know what I'm saying? So that's why evolution by natural selection basically determines, hey, if this animal is on his stomach, he ain't got no arms and legs, but he can slither after a rat or a gopher or something like that, and he basically, his food is on the ground. But then you got lizards, they got flies, they eat flies, and they eat ants and all this other stuff that climb trees. So he basically developed arms, you know what I'm saying, through over 100,000 years or whatever, however long it took, in order to climb trees, and he had an elongated tongue in order to use that tongue to, like, snatch a fly out the damn air. You know what I'm saying? That's evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Change over time.
Yeah, man. And natural selection is like wonderful. That's why I don't understand like why people try to make up all these stories and stuff to make the universe seem more magical than what it already is. If you just look at the science, this shit already got all the mysticism and magic you already want. Because you know what I'm saying? The whole way evolution worked, it'll be like, imagine a whole bunch of different types of snakes, and some of them can move around on their belly, some of them can't move around too well. The ones that can move around well are the ones that tend to survive better. So they're the ones that tend to reproduce more, and the rest of them go extinct. And over time, we looking at it after billions of years, saying, oh, this shit looked like it was made to be like this. Man, over time, this shit is made to look like this, because like at one point there was a lot of humanoid species. You know, most of the humanoids went extinct. We probably gonna go extinct if we don't, you know what I'm saying, get our shit together with all our pollution and all the shit that we do. But most of the animals on the planet went extinct, and people talk about this whole universe was meant for us and all that. If the universe was meant for us, then why is life relegated to just the one little sliver where we live on the surface of a planet that is like, most of the planet is uninhabitable. We can't live on most of the planet. We can only live on certain parts, and the planet can only be habitable in a little pocket of the solar system. You know, so it's not the universe ain't designed for us. That's so incredibly narcissistic to say that the whole universe is made for us, but we can only live on this one little rock and this one little piece of this one little rock. You know.
That's why you when you was talking to Daquisha, whatever her name is, and they talking when she was basically using the watchmaker analogy. Oh, it has to be created. How do you know it has to be created? How do you know it just didn't happen naturally? And that's what get me about Hebrew Israelites and the Christians. Basically, they're Christians as well. They're just basically radical Christians. And it's like they cannot fathom that that things happen naturally. They think everything happened magically. Only way things happen magically is basically if you go to a magic show and see, you're good. Only way you're going to see some magic happen or an illusion is if you go to the magic show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no such
and
thing
the
as
whole
magic, bro.
billions of years, the whole billions of years, it sounds basically far-fetched for them. Like, they cannot imagine things happening billions of years ago because they're alive right now. And I'm sorry, Christians, Jews, Muslims, whoever y'all, whatever religion y'all follow, I'm sorry that evolution, natural phenomenon as far as like the celestial phenomenon, astronomical phenomenon, does not conform to your lifespan because we're only granted maybe a few decades of life. So I'm sorry it doesn't conform with your lifespan. That's why y'all can't see change over time. That's why y'all can't see, for you flat earthers, that's why you can't see Polaris. That's why you can't see Polaris.
It's hard to grasp though, because we only live for a certain amount of time, so we not evolved to understand these numbers because we don't really need to in order to survive. But to make it easier for folk, I always say, like, imagine if I start walking and I'm only moving 1 centimeter a day. You know, you'll come back in a week and you say this nigga ain't going nowhere. But if I live for 1 billion years and you come back in 1 billion years and I'm moving 1 centimeter a day, you'll see how fucking far I went. And you see that small increments over a large amounts of time really add up to big change. So you can start out as a fucking fish and end up a human because every generation you're slightly different. You're not an exact clone of your parents. You're slightly different. So if you add up the change over billions of years, you get at the end something that's drastically different from what you started with. It's just common sense.
Yeah, but like I said, they only see design because they feel like, because they looking at inanimate objects like a car. They say, they always want to use man-made objects as design, an intelligent designer. I think that's where they get that shit from. They looking at a car, how it was designed. Okay, it's designed by an intelligent man or men or women or whoever. You know what I'm saying? And then y'all want to look at the earth. Oh, this is an intelligent design. I remember Ken Hovind or whatever his name is. He said, "Well, cars aren't spawning from tornadoes." What kind of argument is that? Like, a car coming from a tornado? Come on, man. Because they can't stand the whole thing of random chance.
That's the watchmaker. The whole watchmaker it refutes itself. Because how do you know that something is designed? If you think that everything is designed, then you can't tell the difference between a car and a rock because it's all designed to you. So you shouldn't be able to even differentiate. You should be like, of course the car is designed because it exists. Your whole argument makes no sense. So the very fact that you can differentiate that this is designed, but you don't recognize how you realize that it's designed. The reason why you know the car is designed is because you have evidence of the car being designed. You don't have evidence of it coming about naturally. If we had evidence of them coming about naturally, if we went to another planet and a bunch of cars was rolling around, we wouldn't know, if those cars, came about naturally on that planet or if they was made. We would have to find the evidence, So the whole watchmaker argument just.
But their Bible said though. They Bible said, but the Bible, but my holy book. That's what they want to run to. But my holy book.
That's all they got, man. That's why I spread the books, because reading books is what helped me through my path of finding truth and my path to atheism and what I think the truth is. So I spread books because it's like you read this Bible all the time, But it's some bullshit. It's some fairy tale shit, and it's a whole bunch of poison shit ingrained in it to fuck with your mind and shit. So how about you read another book? You
Exactly.
know, so just read.
And you know
another
what?
book
You know
from time
one
to time.
verse that a preacher won't tell you about is Galatians 4:22 through 25, where it talks about the Bible being allegory. A preacher would never ever teach that verse. Not even a Hebrew Israelite would even teach that verse to his to basically who he's trying to reach or whatever he or she trying to reach. The Bible even says it's all an allegory. None of that stuff happened. There were no slaves in Egypt. The preacher that was on the show couldn't even tell you who the Pharaoh was. He said, it don't matter. Come on, man. Now, correct me wrong. He said, did he try to make up because I was getting dressed for work. And I was hearing bits and pieces of the thing, and when you asked him who the Pharaoh was, he didn't give you the name of the Pharaoh.
No, he didn't know. He
You
just got all this information from the Bible. All he said was what the Bible said, Pharaoh. The Bible just say Pharaoh. So it's like you just getting all this stuff from a book, bro. Like, how about you tell me who wrote the book that you quoting from the Bible? Because the Bible ain't just one book; it's 66 books. So whichever book you getting that from, tell me who wrote it, when they wrote it, and what was going on in this motherfucker's mind when he wrote it.
And if this is God's word, then God said a lot of shit. If this was God's word and God said a lot of shit, then why did God go from 500 books of the Bible to 66? How did God allow them to do that? Did they have a meeting with God and God said, yeah, you can take out some of that shit?
Exactly.
I don't want them to know everything.
How is it? It's not the word. It's not the real word of God. And it's the word of God minus most of it. You know what I'm saying? And who's to say that you to decide what goes into the word of God or not? You know. So even if it was the word of God, it wouldn't be right. That's why I don't understand Christians. And, you know, if people ask us, why y'all go so hard on the Christians? Why y'all go so hard on Christians? Well, look around the black community. Everywhere I turn, it's a Christian church. In the poorest neighborhoods, it's church, and it ain't doing shit but siphoning money out of the community. So we go so hard on the Christians because the Christians going hard on us. It's just y'all don't see it. That's why we got the hashtag wake up movement, so y'all can wake the fuck up and understand what the real problem is in society, and maybe we can get our shit together as a people and stop asking for Jesus to come and help us when this motherfucker don't even exist. Even if he did exist,
exactly.
How long you gonna wait? You know what I'm saying? Before you start, you know what I'm saying? Stop, say, well, maybe this prayer shit ain't really working out how we thought. Maybe we should do something else. How long you gonna fucking wait? How many times you got to get your ass kicked before you and the rest of your people
how many black men got to go down, and how many black men and women got to die each day from police brutality, racism, and white supremacy, even systemic racism within each other? How many times he got to die? What is God doing? Is he playing? Is he using us as like? I would say God is. I would say we the video game and God is the player, and he playing true crimes of life or whatever, and we the damn characters. He got us killing each other and shit like that, or white folks killing us shit. You know what I'm saying? I would say this is more like a simulation. God is just playing with us, and he using black people more. You know what I'm saying? Playing Call of Duty or something with black people. Come on, man. That's the
fucking danger in believing in God. Because if you believe in God, what you have to do is you have to explain all of this fucked up shit that you see, right? You have to make sense of this shit some type of way. And believing in God makes God the bad guy every time, because either he can't do shit about it or he won't do shit about it. Either or, that's the God that you fucking worshiping. You know what I'm saying? So I think it makes more sense to just say God don't exist. That explains it better, you know, because if God don't exist, then that explains A, why we haven't found him, B, why he don't answer prayers, C, why there's so much fucked up shit going on in the world, because it's just the universe, you know. That explains it a lot better than all of these God myths that leave you with all of these questions.
Right, and you know, they were told not to question. You know, so, you know, with my ex being a Christian believer and everything, she thought that listening to Christian podcasts actually helped her through life, but she was more toxic than everything, than anything. I didn't listen to that Christian shit. I would walk out the room or leave the living room, and she would listen to this holy roller shit, but still her life did not change. She was still calling me crying, talking about how her mother treated her bad and all this other shit.
Man,
and when I let go of religion, it made it easier for me to heal, because when I was a Christian, it made me like, okay, when is God gonna heal me? When is God gonna? I was constantly praying, and nothing changed. But when I let go of religion, I became more susceptible. Like, okay, this is real life.
Yes,
This is real
bro.
life. I'm not in a dream world no more.
That's how I felt when I stopped believing in God. It's just like, okay, now I'm in the real world. It's like the Matrix. You know, you find out that this is what's real. Something don't seem right about the world, and that's what it fucking was. I'm looking at the world the wrong way. You know, I'm looking at it like there's some force out there watching over me when really it's just me out here. I'm the force. You know what I'm saying? And these like to what your girl would say about Christian shows helping her, bro. That shit is all a fucking scam. It's a con. You just got to be smart enough to see through the shit, bro. I was locked up, right, and I was watching Joel Osteen because that shit would help me through the shit. But I noticed while I was watching the shit that he ain't really talking about Christianity at all. All this nigga doing is selling hope. He's saying, "Oh, life gonna get better," and he might use like a metaphor from the Bible to explain some story that he just made up about how some motivational spiritual basically it's gonna be better if you do this and give him some money. But the whole time he's selling DVDs, he's selling books. It's a big commercial, infomercial, if you will, and this is his sermon, and it really don't got shit to do with Christianity. So I realized that these preachers, the good ones, or I should say the successful ones, they only successful because they selling hope. You know, if they really preach the Bible, people will realize how fucked up it was. So they can't really preach the Bible. Exactly. They just got to give you some good feeling shit, and then they'll use the Bible to explain the shit. Almost like when Ray Hagen's do. He's a non-Christian. He's not an atheist, but he's a non-Christian preacher. But he'll go to the Bible to make a point. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Joel Osteen and the rest of these other evangelical successful televangelist preachers do. They don't really preach Christianity. They just sell hope. And that shit is poisonous to the community, because what they doing is they taking so much money out of the community that could be used in better ways. Because they ain't, if the church was working the way it should work, then, you know, we wouldn't have like a homeless problem or none of that shit, because churches would be taking care of all that shit.
People being sick, all these faith healers and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so you made a leg grow, but you can't go and heal an amputee. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, you can't.
You just made somebody's leg grow in church, but you can't heal an amputee.
Can't do nothing worth saying that, oh, this is doing now. I forget who said it, but somebody made the point that if Christianity was true, or any religion really, but we gonna pick on Christianity because that's what got the hold on most of these people. If the Bible was true, then we should notice a difference in the lives of the followers of the people, because they praying to the real God, right? They should be getting like blessings on blessings. Like everybody should be blessed and highly favored that follows this shit. But what we see is the same diaspora, or the same spread of people that are successful or unsuccessful, happy versus not happy in every religion, you know? So
let's address the elephant in the room. If Christianity was true, I'm scratch that. Black people have a hard time believing that white folks enslaved us with it. That's the elephant in the room. They do not want to look at the white man as the one giving us the religion that basically made us docile, and that basically was a brutal vice that enslaved our African ancestors. So they don't even address that. They think it's a black religion because most black people gravitate towards it so much, because we are, as an ancient people, we were more spiritual because we connected ourselves with nature and the universe and this and that. So they don't want to address the elephant in the room, the white man that gave it to you, the white man that used it to you. And my question to Christians is this: why would a white man give you something that's true? If he knew that it was basically going to help your soul get to heaven, then he wouldn't have gave it to you if it was so true. That's like in Harry Potter, no, not Harry Potter, but the Lord of the Rings. That ring has some kind of magic power that does something good for people or whatever. And you know how they tried to go after, they had to take it from us. Now, let's look at the Bible as the ring from Lord of the Rings, right? It got healing powers, it does all this other magic shit and this and that. If the Bible was true, why would the white man give it to you? If the white man lies to us a lot.
Yeah, man, the white man give you all the fucked up shit, man, enslaved you and raped you and all this stuff, but then gonna give you the keys to heaven. And you just take it and go, oh, well, thank you. I don't understand that shit.
When you bring up the white man, like when you bring up color, they say, oh, it doesn't matter about color. They just want to basically toss that out. It's a cop out. They just want to toss it out. They don't care who gave it to you. So that means I can come in your house and beat you up and kill your offspring and shit like that. And say if you don't obey my religion, then God's not gonna help you out and shit like that. But you must be my slave in order to get that reward after you die. That's basically what happened.
Yeah, or
But
they become
they become
a Hebrew Israelite, you know what I'm saying, or nigger brews as you call them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They so engrossed and indoctrinated in this Bible that they find out, oh, okay, the white man fucked up, so I can't follow his religion. So what they do is they flip it mentally and say, oh, they really talking about us. It's really a black people. We the Israelites, you know what I'm saying? So they just it's a sad form of indoctrination, you know. But they can't let the shit go.
And Shaka almost said that you are Negroes that's got their foot off the plantation, 1 foot off the plantation, and still on the plantation. And y'all scared to come all the way off the plantation because you want to cling to this Jesus Christ story as the Redeemer or Savior. Now, I don't know if I was talking to you. I was on the Dagger Squad Friday, and we was talking about Deuteronomy 28:68, and then we talk about nobody will buy you. Why is every Hebrew Israelite talking about that the word buy means redeem? I looked up etymology of buy. I looked at what the definition of buy is. None of it is buy is not synonymous with redeem. Y'all need to stop that bullshit. When they said no man will buy you, and also when I think Deuteronomy 47 said you will sell yourselves. So I think it's Deuteronomy, don't correct me, but I think it's Deuteronomy 28:47 where it talks about you will sell yourselves as well. And there will be few in numbers and all this other stuff. So you mean to tell me that only a few Hebrew Israelites got off the boat and the rest of them was African?
Yeah, and they say, what did they say about Egypt? Because in that same verse it says it's gonna put you on ships and take you to Egypt.
Egypt, yeah. I will bring you into Egypt again, though you will not see it no more. What kind of, I didn't even get that shit. I'm like, what is God talking about? I'm going to bring you to, let's like saying, hey, Quayle, I'm going to bring you to Fort Worth, but you ain't going to see it no more. But you in Fort Worth. I don't know.
I don't get it, bro.
Shit.
I don't get it, man.
Man.
Did you hear about the family who let their neighbors kill their daughter because they were trying to get a demon out of her?
No, I ain't heard that, man. You got to play that clip, man. Or do you have a news story you can play?
I ain't got the clip ready, man. I'm gonna have to post it like later on tonight. But
wow,
yeah, I got the article, man. It's basically a little girl, man. I think she was like 4.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she was like 4 years old. They went to some church, man, but they trying to claim that the church didn't really have nothing to do with it, but they won't say what church the folk went to, you know what I'm saying? But they was Christians, you know what I mean? And this happened like the 20th, December 20th. And basically they neighbors came over there and beat the girl. They was beating her on the regular, you know what I mean? But the day she died, they had a pond in their backyard. They went and dunked her in the pond and stuff. And when the police came and found the girl dead already, they said they was trying to get a demon out of her because the mother had demons and the kids was gonna grow up to have demons and all this shit. So basically, man, I say all this shit to say that this religion shit still causes harm in the world, you know, and beliefs
and it's very dangerous.
Beliefs can be very dangerous, man. Like these folk, and they had more kids too, you know, but the girl died, and you know now the parents, 4 people, the parents and the neighbors, all going to prison because they had some fucking belief about some demons that don't exist, bro. It don't exist, man. When I was going through all this what I call my spiritual journey, when I got out of religion and I started basically looking for what the truth was, man, I got into everything, bro. I studied fucking Wicca. I studied everything, man, and all of that shit is some bullshit, man. Ain't no fucking demons, ain't no angels, ain't no devils, ain't no gods, ain't none of that shit real. But the belief in that shit is very, very dangerous. So that's why I go so hard on the shit, man. It's not because motherfucker, I don't know what they think, you know, but a motherfucker called me the Antichrist the other day. I said, you goddamn right I'm the Antichrist, because Christ enslaved my motherfucking ancestors. So what you talking about? What am I supposed to be? You know what I'm saying, the pro enslaver of my ancestors? Then this motherfucker is not a real person, you know what I mean? It's not like like this whole spirit realm that just you believe in, it's not real. It's not a thing. Nothing's gonna happen after you die. You're just gonna be dead. And when black people realize
Exactly.
that, that's when we can empower ourselves and actually get out of the bullshit. Because the people that invented this shit, they don't really believe that shit, man. Most of the people that call themselves Jewish, like the real people that the white Jews, they mostly
Turkish
atheists.
people and the Germans and shit, yeah.
They mostly
They're
atheists.
more
bro.
atheists than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They don't
like,
even believe that Jesus exists.
But that's who the Christianity came from, Judaism. So that, like, I don't know why black people can't wake the fuck up and realize that, everybody don't believe this bullshit, and y'all the only ones that still believe this shit, and y'all doing the worst out of everybody. So maybe it's the
Exactly.
religion
We
that
got
got
the
something to do with it.
poorest
Maybe
health,
it's a
teen
correlated
pregnancy.
issue here.
Right. You have the poorest health, teen pregnancies and stuff like that, crime rate, school dropout rate. I mean, it's only 1% of the black population that's considered rich. 1%. It's only 1% of the black population that's considered rich.
Exactly, and that's what people
And we believe in
don't
this
realize.
God so much.
They think oh, we doing better. We got 4 black billionaires and all that shit,
God
but
on our
they don't
side.
they don't
We
tell
got
you how
God
many
on our
white
side. We doing
billionaires
better.
there is, man.
And it's sad that Black Jesus called himself Black Jesus, knowing that Jesus was a damn slave ship.
He know that shit,
If
man,
you look
but
at
I don't
slave
know.
voyages,
I don't get
actually,
his
if you look at
thing.
slave voyages,
Go
like
ahead.
the names and shit, it'll tell you that some of them African slaves was on the good ship Jesus. It's Latin. It's a Latin word, but it's basically when you look at when you basically translate it to English, it's the good ship Jesus.
Yeah, man, I got a
It'll
video
tell you
about
that-
it on my channel,
Yeah, go
man.
ahead.
John Hawkins was the name of the nigga who got the ship from one of the queens
Right.
from Britain, and she basically gave him the go ahead because they found out they could make a whole bunch of money enslaving people, and she lent him the ship, the good ship Jesus, and he went and used it to bring the slaves to America for the first time. They was already doing it, taking the slaves over to the Middle East, or what we call
South
the Middle
America.
East now, and to Europe and shit.
Yeah.
But then they started taking them to the Americas on the good ship Jesus. And you know what I'm saying, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a story that says that they would go up to the natives and ask them, if they wanted to be saved, and if they said yeah, they say, well, follow me, we're gonna get on this ship, and you're gonna, whatever the story of Christianity is, you're gonna get your soul saved and your sins forgiven and all this stuff. And of course, when they got on the ship, they couldn't get off, so that's Black
And yeah,
Jesus'
you gotta
name.
look
That's
at-
where he
you
got
gotta
his
look-
name from.
Yep. And I asked him about the J. He just told me, oh, you're trying to change the subject. But I'm like, no, we're trying to stay on topic. Every time he got ready to explain something, he would basically divert to something else that was not relevant to the question. But he was telling us that we was off topic and cussing us out, calling us out of his name. And not once, we called him out of his name, called him a nigga and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
And
That's
with
why I
him,
had
we
to put
got-
him on mute. Let's talk about this term, psychological warfare. What is psychological warfare? Let's see. Psychological warfare can be defined as actions intended to reduce an opponent's morale. Actions intended to reduce your opponent's morale. So, if we accuse white people of using psychological warfare against black people, that means they would have been doing actions or introducing things to black people that end up reducing the morale of black people. So I think it all started 2,000 years ago in a land far, far away known as Egypt. Let's take a look at the Egyptian timeline. In 6000 BC, we see Egyptians settling around the Nile, and they even used clay and mud from the Nile to make pottery and bowls. In 5000 BC, they started to farm sheep and cows. Several Egyptians grew wheat and barley in rich soil. At 4500 BC, we see Egyptians using the first boats to sail, and boats were the main form of transportation in ancient Egypt. Around 3500 BC, ancient Egyptian craftsmen started to create the first wall paintings, hieroglyphic symbols, and the Egyptian writing system. Around about 3000 BC, they built walled towns and villages. In 2500 BC, it was said that they built the Great Sphinx and the pyramids, and this is known as the Old Kingdom. Around about 1550 BC, they built the Valley of the Kings, and it was known as the New Kingdom. And in about 1325 BC, King Tutankhamun was buried in the Valley of the Kings, and that was the most famous tomb that was discovered in 1922, popular because it was mostly found intact, so they got a lot of information from it. And in 671 BC, we see the Assyrians attack and take control of the empire, and Egypt gets invaded, basically. And then in 332 BC, the Greeks invade Egypt, and they gain control. Now, think about this picture. You got thousands of years of having the greatest civilization in the world, then it gets invaded, and it then is in control by the Greeks. And what did the Greeks do? Well, they wrote the Bible. Remember, the original manuscripts of the Bible were written in Greek. So this is psychological warfare used against the Africans in order to affect their morale and change their morale, to make them docile, teach them doctrines that will make them more easily able to be controlled and or enslaved. How do I know this? Well, from studying history. Right after that, we see the rise of Christianity in Africa. According to tradition, St. Mark brought the new faith to Egypt. There may have been a second missionary in the 1st century AD named Apollos that Jesus was based from. So only from the time of the Bishop Demetrius, AD 189 to 221, are there more substantial sources for Christianity. And after that, in 325 AD, we have the Council of Nicaea, the first council of the Christian bishops convened in the city of Nicaea by the Roman Emperor Constantine. This council was the first effort to attain consensus in the church through an assembly representing all of Christendom. So what was the outcome of the Council of Nicaea? Well, meeting at Nicaea in present-day Turkey, the council established the equality of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. So basically, they invented the Trinity at this meeting, and it asserted that only the Son became incarnate as Jesus Christ. The Arian leaders were subsequently banished from their churches for heresy. After that, we had the Council of Chalcedon in 450. So the Council of Chalcedon was a church council held from 8th of October to the 1st of November in 451 at Chalcedon in Asia Minor. The council was called by Emperor Marcian to set aside the 449 Second Council of Ephesus. So what did the Council of Chalcedon do? In 450, Emperor Theodosius II was succeeded by Marcian, who convened the Council of Chalcedon in 451. It banished the Eutyches, condemned his heresy, and established the centrist doctrine that came to serve as a touchstone of Christian orthodoxy in the East and the West. And after hundreds and hundreds of years of loving thy enemy and turning the other cheek, we see the introduction of slavery. The Atlantic slave trade resulted in the enforced scattering of millions of Africans to the Caribbean, the Americas, and elsewhere, including Britain. A significant early English figure was John Hawkins. His father, William Hawkins, made the first English expeditions to the West Africa in the 1530s. William Hawkins was an adventurous trader who set out to explore the Guinea coast. His voyages were made in search of commercial materials such as dyewoods. Exploration and trade were the most significant reasons for people to move around the world during the 15th and early 16th century. The French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Dutch sent their merchant seamen to Asia, Africa, and to the Americas, where trade developed rapidly. The English, anxious not to miss out on this bounty, became experts in shipping, finance, and insurance, and thus major players in overseas commerce. Then from 1553, a group of London merchants began a series of ventures to develop English overseas trade. 2 years later, these adventurers returned carrying ivory, gold, pepper, and significantly 5 Africans from Shama in modern Ghana. These Africans were brought to England to learn English and returned to Africa as interpreters for visiting English traders. Queen Elizabeth I assisted the early merchant adventurers in 1561 by supplying ships and provisions. When they returned to English ports, they brought not only valuables cargoes, and commodities, but also more Africans, some of whom had probably become sailors on these merchant ships. Queen Elizabeth soon realized the economic value of this overseas trade. She granted a patent to 8 merchants from London and Exeter to trade exclusively with Senegambia between the Senegal and Gambia rivers for a 10-year period. European traders thus initially met Africans at a time long before colonial rule, when African societies possessed freedom of action and political power. As commercial trade and enslavement developed over the next 250 years, millions of Africans were transported from one continent to another. Some of those uprooted by slave trade were also to end up in Britain, many as servants and laborers. In 1562, John Hawkins set out on a voyage that will mark the beginning of the English slave trade. Documents reveal that he left Plymouth with the purpose of capturing Africans along the Guinea coast. The travel writer Richard Hakluyt says that Hawkins got into his possession partly the sword and partly the means to the number of 300 Negroes. In Sierra Leone, he took a ship laden with ivory, wax, and 500 Africans. Hawkins, commanding the ship Solomon, then made the voyage from the Guinea coast to the West Indies. He arrived at the port of Monte Cristi in what is now known as Dominican Republic, where they did deposit 125 slaves at 100 ducats each, which is about 25 to 30 euros in present day terms. The Africans were offered for sale to estate owners in the Americas who required a constant supply of cheap labor for their sugar and tobacco plantations. News of the slave merchants' success spread, and they soon attracted wealthy, powerful backers and additional support from Queen Elizabeth. In 1564, the Queen sponsored Hawkins by lending him her very own 700-ton vessel named Jesus of Lubeck. Now, John Hawkins, freeman of the city of Plymouth, left Plymouth specifically for the purpose of capturing Africans on the West African coast in his ship Jesus. Hawkins, in his own words, as noted by Hakluyt, profited by the sale of slaves, so much so that he included a bound slave wearing a necklace and earrings on the crest of his coat and arms. His final voyage turned out to be a disaster for Hawkins, as he lost his ships and men to the Spanish. This event precipitated hostilities between England and Spain. These early voyages proved to be early, tentative steps toward what was known to become highly organized trade in humans, and a major source of income for the British merchants in some 300 years to come. An account holds that Hawkins, who claimed to be a devout Christian and missionary, found the Sierra Leoneans harvesting their crops. He then proceeded to tell the natives of a God named Jesus, afterwards asking which among them sought to have Jesus as their savior. However, many among them raised their hands, were then led to the beach and on his ship, Jesus of Lubeck, also known as the Good Ship Jesus. Urging the Africans to enter the ship for salvation, those who entered soon found that they were barred from disembarking from the ship, and then the ship sailed and they got sold. Hawkins had sold the slaves hundreds of times in what is now known as the Dominican Republic. It is crucial to note that the 700-ton ship was purchased by King Henry VIII, and 20 years later it was Queen Elizabeth who lent the ship to Hawkins, effectively sanctioning the trade in humans and showing that English involvement in the slave trade was sanctioned at the highest level. Curiously, Hawkins had a reputation for being a religious man who required his crew to serve God daily and love one another. Services were even held on board twice a day, despite the capture, detainment, and sale of Africans against their will for profit's sake. He was cousins with Sir Francis Drake, and he accompanied him on his 1562 voyage and others. Drake was claimed to be devoutly religious as well. Between 1562 and 1567, Hawkins and his cousin Francis Drake made 3 voyages to Guinea and Sierra Leone and enslaved between 1,200 and 1,400 Africans. Mind you, these men, women, and children would have contained some of the brightest, fittest, and strongest the 2 states would have needed to develop and become mighty. A loss accounting for one of the steep costs of African states have suffered not to talk of the death of those who viciously fought back, those who got drowned while escaping, and those who simply got beaten or clobbered to death. John Hawkins' personal profit from selling slaves was so huge that Queen Elizabeth I granted him a special coat of arms. He was appointed as treasurer for the Navy in 1577 and knighted in 1588 by the Lord High Admiral Charles Howard following the defeat of the Spanish Armada. Hawkins' slave business only concluded in 1567, not out of volition or repentance, but because his fleet, which included a ship commanded by Francis Drake, took shelter from a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. The fight with the Spanish led to the loss of many of his men. Hawkins escaped in one ship and Drake in another. He lost 325 men on that voyage and depleted all of his logistics and human resource, although he still recorded the trip as profitable. In 1595, Hawkins, accompanied by his cousin Sir Francis Drake on a treasure hunting voyage, went to the West Indies, and they twice attacked San Juan in Puerto Rico, but they could not defeat its defenses. During that voyage, they both fell sick, and Hawkins died on November 12, 1595, and was buried at the sea off Puerto Rico. Drake succumbed to disease, most likely dysentery, on January 27th, and was buried at the sea somewhere off the coast of Portobello in Panama. Hawkins was succeeded by his son, Sir Richard Hawkins. Although England banned slavery in 1772, the trade of Africans still continued after Hawkins right on into the 19th century across to the colonies. And you would think that today, with all the name changing and flag dropping going on, that they would change the name in Plymouth of Sir Hawkins Square. However, neither thousands of Africans killed and enslaved by Hawkins and Drake, nor the millions who perished in the period that followed, have monuments erected in their memory, much more talk about reputation or financial support for African states affected by such vile acts. As an outspoken atheist blogger, I am often asked why I criticize Christians so heavily, and what is the harm of someone else's belief? Why not just let people believe what they believe in peace? So, since you don't know, I decided to share the deeds of religion that never get talked about in church, and certainly not around the dinner table. The following story is disturbing, but it is also true. What is the harm that a belief system has? Exhibit A. A Missouri couple, Mary S. Mast and James A. Mast, faced multiple charges after the death of their 4-year-old daughter. They allegedly allowed their neighbors, Ethan Mast, of no relation, and Courtney Allman, to beat her with a belt before dunking her into an icy pond in order to rid her of supposed demons. The neighbors have been charged with second-degree murder and more. The Benton County Sheriff's Office said the 4-year-old girl was found dead at the family home on December 20th. Benton County Sheriff Eric Knox said she had been severely beaten and dunked into an icy pond as part of what appeared to be a, quote, religious-type episode. A probable cause statement from Sergeant Chris Wilson said the girl was already dead and had, quote, severe purple bruising over her body along with ruptured blisters. Knox said the girl's parents also had been beaten along with the 2-year-old child. An infant son of the couple was apparently unharmed. Both had been placed in protective custody, Knox said. Wilson asked Mast how he could let people do this to his family, and he stated that they were told that his wife had a demon inside her and her children would end up just like her if it was not taken care of, Wilson wrote in the probable cause statement. It's not clear then if the parents were complicit in the girl's death or victims themselves. It could be both. The couples attended the same church, which is not named by authorities. While the authorities say this is an isolated incident, this is hardly the first time a child has died as a result of deluded religious thinking or deranged belief that demons must be eradicated. There is no evidence of mental illness in play here. The question now, as it always is what the local church leaders plan to do in response if they're truly disturbed by what happened. Will pastors have the courage and good sense to tell their congregations that demons are merely metaphorical and figments of their imagination? Or will they go on spreading the lie that Satan and his minions are real? If they firmly believe in literal demons and say this much from the pulpit, they shouldn't be surprised if some people take them seriously, then take matters into their own hands, if they genuinely believe others are possessed. Regardless of how this ends legally, a little girl died in December of 2020 because people close to her believed in religious superstitions, then acted upon them. Did anyone close to these families ever have the heart to tell them that their churches were lying to them? If there's any silver lining here, it's that the Mast's 2-year-old son and newborn have been placed in temporary foster care. They're safe for now. They deserve to be with parents who won't put their lives in jeopardy. The Masts have also been denied permission to attend their daughter's funeral. This is just one of the recent incidents of tragedy caused by religious belief. But incidents like this one happen all the time, all over the world. Thanks for watching on QualityKush.com. If you want to learn more about free thinking, hit the subscribe button below. You can help spread the awareness of trauma caused by religion by liking and sharing this video. See you next time on QualityKush.com.
2 arrests have been made after the Benton County Sheriff's Office responded to an incident that left a child dead and her mother and another child injured. ABC 17's Connor Hirsch went to Benton County today to follow up on the story.
Just before 1 a.m. this morning, the Benton County Sheriff's Office said they responded to a violent incident that left one child dead and their mother and another child here at the hospital. Benton County Sheriff's deputies went out to a residence in rural Cole Camp this morning after receiving a call about a deceased child. According to a press release, her father told deputies his daughter had been beaten, submerged in a pond, and then left to freeze on the bank before being taken back into the home. The sheriff says her mother, 28-year-old Mary Mast, and another child were taken to Bothwell Regional Hospital after being, quote, beaten to a severe extent. I did speak to someone here at the Benton County Sheriff's Office in Warsaw who said they couldn't release any more information at this time. After investigating, deputies arrested 35-year-old Ethan Mast and 21-year-old Courtney Amon, and both are potentially facing multiple felony charges. But this is an ongoing investigation, and the sheriff said more arrests may be made. I checked in with someone here at Bothwell Regional Health around 5 p.m. who told me at that time they did not have a patient by the name of Mary Mast. Reporting in Sedalia, Connor Hirsch, ABC 17 News.
As this is a developing story, we will bring you any updates we learn about this on air and online.
Law enforcement works off of facts, and the facts that we have are that a little girl died at the hands of Ethan and Courtney, and mom and dad stood by and watched it happen, as well as mom actually participated in some of it, which is, she's charged appropriately according to Missouri state statutes.
Court documents say the 4-year-old girl died after being beaten and forced into a pond. The parents telling deputies God was speaking through Courtney Amon. The mother, Mary Mast, says Courtney and Ethan told her they wouldn't do this to a little girl. They would only do this to a demon because she was just like her. And this has been a huge God thing they've convinced us of. Court documents say the beatings by Courtney and Ethan had gone on for 2 or 3 weeks, and Courtney knew the code to enter their home. Sheriff Knox says Mary Mast has also been charged with domestic assault, her husband telling deputies she was forced to beat their 2-year-old daughter while Courtney took a video of it, claiming they told them they would use the video to pin the violence on Mary. The Benton County Sheriff's Office shared in a Facebook post these actions are not condoned by the family's church. And so far, the investigation indicates this is not the actions of a cult.
Fortunately, this family fell through the cracks because they're not school age. And I don't know if they were taking the kids to church or taking them out, but nobody would allow that to go on if they were to see the wounds on these children. Again, when I talk to church elders and other people throughout the community, they all are just as outraged as the rest of the community, and they also want justice.
That shit.
Had to put his ass in time
He
out.
did
Man.
like when I went over to his show, shit, he kept putting me on mute just for asking questions. And he got a blog talk radio show, and then he came on TRS with Tyrone Thompson doing the same shit, getting mad because we questioning his beliefs. Why your God ain't getting mad? Why your God ain't show up and help you? Say, hey, I'm real. You ain't got to tell him no more Black Jesus, you know what I'm saying? But you up here getting pissed off. Maybe because the God that you believe in is you. A belief in a God to me, man. A belief in a God to me, I would say in actuality, a belief in a God is a profound dynamic relationship with yourself. That's why people always say God knows you and God told me to tell you this and to this. I said, well, next time God tell you something, please record it so I don't believe that you lying. For real.
For real though. Black Jesus a fucking actor, man, because I heard him on a convo with James Smalls. He wasn't doing all that rah-rah shit. So he know how to act accordingly. He just doing all that shit for show. But he ain't got no sense though. To be calling yourself Black Jesus and you know damn well where it came from. That's why he couldn't answer the question. You know, you talking about where atheism come from, but where the hell you get Jesus from? Where did Christianity come from? He couldn't fucking answer. He had to go, you know, whatever he had to do.
Oh, ad hominem attacks and shit. Oh, ad hominems at us and shit. And we basically let him talk longer than we should have, really.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I do that shit all the time. I let these folks talk, man, cause really that shit they doing themselves a disservice, cause everybody get to hear all the dumbass shit you say, and the people that's on your side don't even agree with you. And so go ahead, spit all that shit out. I let them keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Man, I know our platform, man. We had a somewhat infamous celebrity on our show, Black Jesus Ministers, that always come on side net and get, you know, booted. So, man, we reaching out, man. We trying to get more of our people to think, man. So if y'all, you know, want to call in, please call in, man, to the show, man. It's all about thought. We basically here to get you to think, man. You know, we're not trying to convert you or anything, because atheism is not a conversion, because guess what? Like Quayle said, when you was born, you was already an atheist or a non-believer. You didn't know nothing about God. You knew that your mama was God, in the sense of you go to her breast to be fed. You ever see a baby reach up for that tit? Yeah. When my kids were born, my kids was always looking up at their mama, and they was looking, trying to, you know, move that shirt so they can be fed.
Exactly.
That's an innate thing. Nothing in nature needs instructions. Nobody was born with a book strapped to their ass. And there wasn't no goddamn God handing out books through the goddamn sky. That's some boogeyman shit y'all talking about, man.
Ain't none of that shit real, man. No gods, no spirits, no souls, no nothing. And when you realize that shit, you really freeing yourself, man. You freeing your mind, and you freeing yourself up to think and do really whatever the fuck you want to do, because can't nobody tell you not to, you know, unless you allow them to, really, you know, because when you believing in all that shit, first of all, you got to understand that you choosing to believe in a particular religion. You know, you choosing this Christianity because you was born over here. If you was born somewhere else, you would be in that religion that they believe in over there. So you choosing to believe in this shit, and you restricting yourself by all of these rules. Oh, I can't have sex before I'm married, you know, or I can't curse, and all this. When cursing is just a sound that come out your fucking mouth. It really don't mean nothing until you make it mean something. So all these rules and restrictions, and then you hold yourself back because you like you say you get into a problem, you find yourself into some turmoil or something, and instead of figuring out a way to resolve it, you say, well, God, please help me. God, please help me. All that time you spending God pleasing, you could have been spending thinking, man. And when you free yourself from that belief, you realize how much time you actually got to think now, and how much power you have when you put your brain to work, you know. And that's what really gonna free yourself, and it's gonna free black people as a whole, is when we get rid of this fairy tale.
Exactly, man. It's a stronghold. It's a stronghold on our people, man. It's a Stockholm syndrome epidemic on our people that's been basically perpetuated throughout this whole 500 years of enslavement. Like, the physical shackles are off our feet and hands, but the mental shackles are still on the minds of our people.
Exactly, bro.
And we're what, the 2% now? We're like the 1% of black people that don't believe this shit.
It's growing though. You
know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's growing. It's a growing progress, man. I mean, I know the comments is, you know what I'm saying? We got a few people that's conscious and, you know, woke, you know, that realize that, hey, man, why am I still believing in a magic being, imaginary cosmic mage? You know what I'm saying? And I never seen this thing, and this thing never did nothing for me because I'm going to work every day. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got preachers like Creflo Dollar and T.D. Snakes and all them. They all talking about, God gonna bring me out, God gonna bring me out. But if that was the truth, then none of us would need to work. I wouldn't be at work right now. Shit, if God was gonna bring me out, shit, I'd be at the house chilling.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah, man. Well, shit, I guess we could go ahead and close out, bro.
Car note.
Right.
God gonna bring me out.
Well, you can go ahead, if you got any shout outs or let the people know your social media and all that shit, we can go ahead and close out.
Oh, man, we're going to close out, man. Hey, man, this is my platform right here, man. I don't really have social media like that, man, but I am getting my merchandise ready, man. We are in production right now to get these new Atheists Experience hoodies and shirts out, man. So we are in production, man. So by February, we're going to have over probably 2,000 pieces of material, man, of merchandise to send out just for starters, and then we're gonna continue to grow. So, man, check out that Know Thyself apparel on QuayleyKush.com, man. I'm getting everything ready. We are in production right now. This is just a new business I'm starting up, but man, it's well worth it, man. And I suggest y'all go to QuayleyKush.com for even more merchandise that he has basically already has too, man. And I'm gonna purchase some stuff too in the near future as well. So yeah, check us out, man. And always stay woke, man. Question everything. Don't believe nothing. Always question. Knowledge is more tangible than belief. That's all I have to say.
That what's up. And as always, you can listen to this podcast everywhere, man. It's Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Apple, Anchor, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you get podcasts, you can listen to this podcast. And if you listen on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you do so. If you want to support the channel, make sure you hit the share button. That's one of the best ways to support us. Just help us get the message out and reach more people. And also, like Kwame said, go to QualityKush.com, check out the merchandise. We also post the books recommendations every day, and they're always very insightful, educational, or entertaining books that I handpicked myself, and mostly audio books, so you don't have to sit there reading. You can just listen to it while you exercise or do whatever you do. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. And oh yeah, make sure you hit the like button for me, give it a thumbs up, and we will see y'all next week.
Black Jesus. Thank you, Black Jesus, for calling in too. I just want to reiterate, man. Thank you, Black Jesus, for calling in, man. Everybody give him a hand clap, man, for even trying, man. Sorry to cut you off, man. I just want to reiterate that, man.
We always appreciate all of our guests, man. So appreciate you, Black Jesus Minister, for calling in, bro. I don't know why you had to run like that, man. I don't know, you had to take a shit or something. I get it. But we'll be back next week, man. We'll see y'all. Holla at you, man. Peace, God.
Peace, God.